original. It's all what? It's all original. It's all what? It's all original. It's all what? It's all original. It's all original. It's all original. It's all original. You never seen it like this. I got something you don't wanna miss. The best part, I got you on the list. All access, pass on the wrist. So hands up, we gonna celebrate. First look, you do a double take. All day, every day, first place, trophy case. It's about to change the game. It's all original. It's all what? It's all original. It's all what? It's all original. It's all what? It's all original. Styling like a trend. On style, on style. It's original. On style. On style. Like a trend. Setter. There's good, then there's gray. Then there's the bar, it just raised. Cloud 9 on a new plane. Got the star on the seat with your name. Take off, let me see you elevate. Time flies when you're swinging like a heavyweight. Meet me at the top, make them wanna talk. Started now, we never gonna stop. It's all original. It's all what? It's all original. It's all what? It's all original. It's all what? It's all original. Styling like a trend. On style like a trendsetter. On style like a trendsetter.
Hello, and welcome everybody to the PlayVS Collegiate Finals. I am Somebody's Gun. I am joined by Mini Miner. What is going on, bro?
What is up, Somebody's Gun? I'm so excited today. We've got some solo action. We've got solo finals. The collegiate scene is back once again with a bang. We've got solo finals. It's going to be incredible. I personally cannot wait.
Oh, I know. I'm excited too. We have some awesome games coming up for you, but let's take a look at how we got here and what is going on today. Mini Miner, walk us through.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, a lot of these players would have had to go through, or every single one of these players would have had to go through a 6-week regular season right here. On all of those dates you can see on the screen, each of those points added up from each and every one of those weeks makes a cumulative score. So, of course, the people with the highest cumulative score in the 200th in NA East and NA West will go all the way through to the semi-finals on November the 10th. Of course, then the best 100 players in those semi-finals made their way all the way to the finals, which are today, and I couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, we got some awesome players. It's the best of the best in the collegiate scene. PlayVS bringing it to you. And right now they have both the high school and collegiate finals going on. So whether you're a high schooler, you're in college now, you like Fortnite, hey, PlayVS has it for you, and they've been doing it for a few years now, and I'm pretty sure they're going to keep coming with the scholastic prizing. And let's take a look at exactly what that prizing is.
Yeah, a massive prize pool for today's solo finals. I'm so excited to see who comes out on top, because if you do come out on top, it is going to be $4,000 going straight to you right here, right now, today. It's going to be so much fun to see who comes out on top there. But we, of course, do have all the way down to the 75th place getting themselves $100 as well, which I really like. It gives a large percentage of these players an opportunity to make some cash and really make a name for themselves today in today's tournament.
It's a great point, and it really makes every single match important. So regardless if it's game 1 or game 6, you have at minimum $100 to play for. So let's see how the scoring format works out and how this will play into our overall prizing. Mini Miner, we have 30 points for the Vicroy, 2 points for each elimination. How are you feeling about the scoring format? Is this going to lead us to more passive or aggressive games, or some combination in between?
Yeah, I really like this format right here. Of course, a lot of these players will be used to the solo cash cup style format, which in the placement department, it is identical. But for each elimination, they're going to get themselves an extra point, all the way up to 2 points per elimination today. That's a really big number. And if you can combine some good placements with those eliminations as well, you could see yourself into that top 10 in the prizing and maybe even coming out on top. Because for me today, it's all about that balance. But of course, if you are a little bit lower down in the leaderboard, then it is a potential for a big comeback with those higher elimination points.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's going to be people slaying out today, but it's not going to be that easy. This is the best of the best here in the finals, and you can't just run through every single player. That's why you're going to be rewarded, like you said, a little bit extra compared to those solo cash cups. These guys are so good. Mini Miner, we're going to see a number of players, some names that we know, some names that everyone knows, and then there's going to be people looking to put themselves onto the leaderboard, make a name for themselves in these tournaments. And that's kind of what solos is about. It gives you that opportunity, it puts the plate out there, and now you have to take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And that's exactly what PlayVS is all about, giving great opportunities to some maybe younger and lesser known talents that are out there. And this is a big stage. This is a big tournament, a big finals event as well. Single lobby format, a really great opportunity for all of these players to really prove themselves. And as you mentioned, a solo format is absolutely perfect for that, because you're out there on your own.
Yeah, and the single lobby, if you're in, you don't know what that means. It means that you're playing against the same pool of players all 6 matches. Doesn't matter. These are our players. These are the guys that are playing today, and you are playing against the same people. So if you get landed on in game 1, or you have a poor performance in game 4, you're going to run into the same people very likely, and you're going to have to make adjustments. I love that. And Mini Miner, is there any players that stand out to you that you think are going to make a difference today?
Well, we mentioned it earlier how we're going to be seeing some big names in here, as well as some underrated newer names on the screen as well. We're seeing big names like Npen, Casca, Okis, all big players like that. You know, they're going to be wanting to prove themselves as the best in the collegiate scene. Players like Bizik, players like lots of other players that we're going to be seeing today as well. Loads and loads of really talented and experienced players, which could definitely have a part to play. That experience could really work in their favor, but maybe for somebody that is a little bit less experienced, maybe somebody that you guys at home might not have seen before, this could be a really big opportunity for them to prove themselves on the big stage. We saw so many of these names compete in previous seasons and previous events in the past, so I'm excited to see who comes out on top today.
It'll be really interesting. And shout out to all these players, man. Like, the fact that you're able to make it to these finals while being in school is impressive enough. And, you know, congrats, you're able to make it to the finals. Now let's take it home. We see the final page of players. We got Foxman, Jewel, Dustin, lots of our top competitors today. Or, hey, maybe we just snuck through. We just barely made it through the semifinals. It doesn't matter. What you did in the semifinals no longer matters. It all is up to this few matches here today. And Mini Miner, is there anything that really stands out to you? Like, currently going into this game, what would you be expecting, or what are you looking for if you're trying to win this whole tournament?
Well, a lot of these players will be used to more team-based modes. Of course, we know that Trios is the main competitive sort of game mode for this whole year. So we've had Trios a lot of this year, and of course, we do have the solo cash cups as well, but I'm sure a lot of these players will be a little bit less practiced in the solos mode, which could work out in their favor. Maybe they could catch a few people off guard, but also the lack of practice and the less experience could be a little bit of a detriment to some of these players. So I'm expecting a little bit of a cagey first game as we progress on with the rest as well.
All right, and now here comes the tough part. I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite solo drop spot, and what are some spots that we should be looking out for today?
Well, personally, my favorite solo drop spot and where I'm personally landing at the moment is Holly Hedges. I'm a big fan of Holly Hedges. I think it has it all. It has a mixture of materials. It has good loot. It also has an IO car right outside of one of the buildings there as well. So you have that on tap almost there as well. Of course, you do have the corrupted areas just outside. A really, really great place to rotate in and pick up some extra. But I think they're going to be going for some more of these sort of smaller IO guard bases. You know, little ones that have been added onto the map as part of Season 8. Some great loot in there and a really great solo drop. What about you, Somebody's Gone?
All right, so I'm going to have to go for the caddy corner drop. You know, you just get the peppers. You have that availability to get the peppers. And like you said, the movement. They have cars, so you can use that extra speed boost. Now, there's not going to be the IO car right there, but there's also this little blue spot. If you guys don't know, that is another cube. There's cubes all over the map. This is one of the best ones, if you ask me, because it gives you shield. So you can combine, you can go caddy, you can drop down to the cube, get free shield. Now, this is all barring you're uncontested and there's no one nearby. Probably won't happen, but you know, you never know how these lobbies will play out.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, rotating into that cube as well is such a fantastic mobility item as well. You can sort of bounce around, and using the convergers as well in the center of the map. It's going to be amazing to see how these players utilize these cubes and these whole corrupted areas in the season. You mentioned there as well, Catty Corner, plenty of peppers. Some of the best rotates to make in solos, because you can stack 15 of those. And of course, that's a lot of peppers that you can use on your rotates. Your mouth would be burning after eating 15 peppers, I must say. But you, of course, do have the Sloan's Mythic burst assault rifle there as well. So, you know, really, really great option. And to be fair, I do like your selection of Catty Corner there, Gun.
Oh, thank you. I like your drop spots as well. And if we were, like, hypothetically, if we were playing this, neither of us would have to run into one another, so we could both come out at the top 10 or so. But I want to go back to the Mythic Burst, because that is huge. That weapon just absolutely shreds people. And if you find players out in the open making a rotation, it could be as good as gone when someone finds them just sitting there with the Mythic Burst. It is such a powerful weapon, and we'll have to see, because it could be split. One player could land the main caddy, and another one could go right for that burst. Who knows exactly who will be having that in their inventory, but for 6 matches, if someone is able to hold that, that is going to be huge.
It really is going to be huge. It's such a power weapon, as you mentioned. You know, it does high damage. It has a high rate of fire as well. It can almost spray through some wood builds. It can get a few bullets through, which is absolutely vital in solos, particularly if you do want to go for those more earlier storm tags. You have 39 damage to the body. A very, very powerful weapon going into that, into these games. I mean, this mythic item is going to be incredible, and I hope we see it in use.
Yeah, we definitely will. I'm sure someone will be picking that up. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with some Fortnite action for you guys.
set me free or give me death, yeah. Living good, I've been blessed, yeah. Shout out all my enemies, all the best. You can set me free or give me death, man, I'm on my way, yeah. Y'all can find out, you on timeout. You been dealing with the devil, where you sign at? Yeah, oh Lord, you getting financed. Me, I'm talking ownership, baby, that's where my mind at. Try that, yeah, me, I threw my money down. And you know that it's good, we can skip the run around. And I don't need no yes, man, I'm all the way down. Yo, and I am not for sale, that's in case you couldn't tell, but y'all know better now. You can set me free or give me death, yeah. Living good, I've been blessed, yeah. Shout out all my enemies, all the best. You can set me free or give me death, man, I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. Man, I'm on my way, yeah. And I can do this all day, man, I'm on my way. Said I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. And I can do this all day, man, I'm on my way. Said I'm on my way. Real life better than the internet. Keep what you been selling, I ain't into that. We are doing business, this is simple math. I invest, you know I get it back, you believe that? Yeah. They asking what the fame like, tell them hang tight. Let me holler when the pay right. Put that on my damn life, you know I'm the man, right? Show them what the plan like, but y'all look slow, don't understand right, yeah. So tell me how you feel, baby, cause I've been working all the way up to a meal, baby. Yeah, man of the year, how I feel lately. You know the deal, baby, you know the drill, yeah, I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. Man, I'm on my way, yeah. And I can do this all day, man, I'm on my way. Said I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. And I can do this all day, man, I'm on my way. Said I'm on my way. You can set me free or give me death, yeah. You can set me free or give me death, yeah. Shout out all my enemies, all the best. You can set me free or give me death, man, I'm on my way. Living good, I've been blessed, yeah. Living good, I've been blessed, yeah. Shout out all my enemies, all the best. You can set me free or give me death, man, I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. Man, I'm on my way, yeah. And I can do this all day, man, I'm on my way. Said I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. And I can do this all day, man, I'm on my way. Said I'm on my way.
Hello, 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 it's game time. We're going in to game one. And, you know, Mini Miner and I just had to go personally craft the zones and figure out how exactly we wanted this game to play out. So, Miner, you know, game one, it is the most nerve-wracking. You talked about it. People might be a little nervous going in. What are you expecting early on?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I think we're going to be expecting a little bit more of a cagey start to today's tournament. Of course, a lot of these players and a lot of these sort of talented players might be wanting to get a very, very sort of solid start. You know, it doesn't have to be an incredible world-beating start, but I think just making sure you can get into that good placement points. Of course, we saw into that top 10, won every single point gets you a placement point as well. So a really, really crucial element in this first game is making it to the end, making sure you get a solid start. Picking up a few eliminations will be good as well, but I think in solos you really want to focus on making those rotates, because it's lonely out there. You're all alone, and just like Mateo's season right here, he is just outside of the Weeping Woods area. He's all alone, and he's trying to farm up as much as he can going into this end game. It's going to be interesting to see how he does today.
He's in a good spot too. Not too many people around him. He might even have Weeping all to himself, which would be really surprising. But at the same time, this season is a little different than previous seasons. There's so much more loot due to those crash sites that you highlighted earlier that allow these players now to essentially land anywhere on the map and be able to get enough loot to play with. Now, whether or not it's enough to win a game, that's a different question. But, Miner, it's enough to play with, and it should make a player feel comfortable regardless of where they wind up landing.
Yeah, I agree. You can definitely sort of land at the more smaller and less sort of big drop spot areas. It's definitely more viable to rotate into maybe a few of these crash site areas. There's plenty of floor loot. You know, maybe you'll pick up a launch pad, maybe a little bit of an upgrade on your loot. That would also be very well taken as well by a lot of these players, because it is a solo event. You only have 5 inventory slots, so making sure that you get the best possible weapons in those is going to be what is most crucial. He's rotating over here, though. Teo season, he's just enjoying the experience of being alone in the woods. You know, he's enjoying himself. There's nobody around. He can just rotate on in. There is still 86 players remaining, though, so Storm Surge is most certainly going to be a factor in today's games. Of course, we have a large selection of fantastic Fortnite players. The talent is through the roof, and who else is through the roof right now is Felix, all the way up on top above the roof of the Corny Crops house, trying to get some shots off with this burst assault rifle here. Not quite connecting with anything yet, but I like this from him. He's just staying patient, staying calm, and getting some tags early on.
And this is what you gotta do. Early on in these games, you have to find that position that you feel comfortable with and farm those Storm Surge tags. And, you know, if you're just watching this for the first time, we'll give you a little hint and get you up to speed as to what Storm Surge is. It's a mechanic in the game that is going to take effect in the 3rd, 5th, and 7th zones. You'll get warnings earlier as to whether or not you're above or below Storm Surge, and it really comes down to how much damage you've dealt versus the amount of damage other players in the lobby have dealt. So we see Felix taking shots here. This is what's called getting surge tags. That allows these players to farm up, get a lot of damage under their belt, so when the threshold comes and Storm Surge is about to hit, you're not one of those players below. And it is a really important mechanic, especially when it comes to solos, because you don't have the ability just to rely on other teammates to get damage done. It's all going to be up to you here.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And solos is such a solo-reliant game mode. Of course, you know, you are only allowed to rely on yourself. You can't be teaming up with other players in solos. You're out there alone. It's all you. It's your thoughts. It's your own decision-making. You are responsible for every decision that is made. And a decision that's being made right here for Felix is to rotate on out. I feel like he's seen that a lot of the players have already rotated through this area. There's not too much potential to get any more tags, but I like that from him. He's just rotating on out. So he's Mandinka right now, trying to find as many surge tags as possible, farming up a good amount of brick, a good amount of wood and metal in their inventory right now as well as some good heals, which is absolutely fantastic. If they can rotate their way, it looks as though it's got a bit of a far easterly side of the map, the zone, the first zone, or the second zone reveal itself right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how this player can rotate through, particularly given that they don't have any mobility and they're not full on the HP. They don't have that full shield. They don't have the full white HP either. So I think if they do get focused, it's going to be game over for them, because that is what Solos is all about.
Yeah, it's a give and take here on these rotates of whether or not you want to be fully healthy, because sometimes when I'm rotating early on, I don't really want to spend my big pots, so I'll stay around the 150 range to fill myself back up with those minis. And you see Mandinka using the cabbages. Plenty of consumables all throughout the map, but now it's time to see what's going on up north. We're checking out Steamy Stacks, and it's packed on top of this fight.
Yep, it's packed right here, and it looks as though it's Ethan 1x on the receiving end of some shots from Pact, trying to get himself a good angle for attack here if he can look through all of these builds, breaking through as much as he can. He does have very, very good ammo as well, so he can continue to spray as the shots continue to come out and the pressure continues to ensue from Pact, playing this very, very well, trying to get a good enough angle. He is below the Storm Surge threshold as well, so he's going to be taking this fight with caution. He doesn't want to drop below and then start taking damage. It doesn't quite damage the players yet, but it will do so. And of course, 10 players do need to be eliminated. Now, though, a bit of a switch of focus. Pact rotating all the way back to another player who does seem to use the stack, but no, almost baits himself using the stack and ends up getting shot himself all the way down to 109 effective HP for Pact here. A little bit of an interesting one right there, but he did get some damage, which does keep him afloat above that damage threshold. 10 players currently are below, so he is above. He's in that top 70 players in terms of damage, and he's just chilling on top of Steamy Stacks, maybe hoping that the next zone will be favorable for him all the way up on that northern side.
Pact was all over the place there. He was literally like, all right, I'm going to take this fight on the guy in the building, and then he gets shot at from behind. He's like, all right, no, you don't shoot at me. Now I'm going to push you. He takes a shot, gets some shotgun damage, quickly jumps on out of there, and now he might be going back for more.
He might. I mean, I respect the patience. I like it, but I also like the aggressiveness right here from Pact. He understands how good he is at fighting, but no, not without some return fire from the opposing side. Now there's a bit of a difficult situation. We saw him earlier battling it out against another player, and now he could be the one that is getting focused. Luckily right now, though, for him, a little bit of respite, but not for long. Another player does seem to be rotating on him. I believe it was Ethan who was the one that was doing all the damage to Pact early on. He does, of course, have that rotate on out, as it looks as though the zone has not pulled in his favor. He does have the potential to use those stacks, but as we know, Gun, if you do use those stacks a little bit too early on, you could be the focus of so many players.
It is very dangerous, because I think all three of these players sitting right here are waiting for that to happen. They're like, all right, let somebody else rotate first. I'll farm some damage on them in the air, and then I'll move on out, because as much as Pact continues to get aggressive like this, he's not actually engaging in fights. He's kind of staging fights and then walking away from them whenever anything happens. So we'll see how this plays out, and we do lose Casker there in the feed. Now we check out what's going on from Ethan's perspective. He's got himself some space to work with and really just waiting for Pact to make a mistake. He's punished him a couple of times. You would think Pact would have learned here, Miner.
Yeah, you really would have, but I think this fight is so crucial for both of these players in order to get their Storm Surge tags up. These little sort of early to mid-game fights can be really, really crucial in getting that Storm Surge out of the way. You really don't want to be jumping in someone's box when it comes to the time where you need that damage, so I like this from these guys. They're being a little bit more patient. Ethan, of course, doesn't have too much HP, a little bit less than Pact in this situation. He is 57 above right now, though, so that's why we're seeing him be a little bit more aggressive now that he gets some good damage on Pact, who now is on the back foot. Plenty of opportunities for Ethan to try and get some damage off and maybe close out this elimination, but I think he's just going to think, okay, I've got my damage, I'm 190 above right now, I think this is a good opportunity to rotate, and would you look at that, what better way to rotate than a free launch pad?
What? I mean, that just shows. Oh man, that bothers me here, Miner. You have a launch pad. They could have all rotated earlier on, but no, decides to use it now. And I think Pact's gonna be really lucky to walk out of this. To be honest, Ethan might be in the same box. Both these guys are gonna get forced to rotate, and look at how many players are on this eastern side of the zone. We can see them: Pact, Doinks, Shiesty, all right nearby, and this is not a fight that you want to be taking, especially with no HP heals in your inventory.
Yeah, that is absolutely right. He does not have any white heals, and when that zone does eventually close, the Storm is going to do increasingly more damage, and unfortunately for Ethan, he's feeling the full effects of that as he does go down. It was Ethan who got eliminated to the Storm all on his own. It was the Storm that took him out, not another player. That was very unfortunate for him. That's really not the situation you want to be in, but Crush right now, we're hopping on board with them as they do have a decent loadout. I mean, their health is not looking too good. The heals are, well, they're non-existent non-existent, but he does have himself a pepper, so he could be using that to rotate potentially. Who knows?
Hey, pepper and a launch pad, that's really all you can ask for. I mean, maybe asking for a little more ammo or heals or just anything, to be honest, but you're right, he does have the movement miner.
He does have the movement, yeah, that's absolutely crucial. But I think the main worry for me in this situation as to how he's going to rotate this, we see the next zone reveal itself on the bottom right of the screen. Even if he does have the potential and the usage of that launch pad and pepper, how is he going to fare when launching out of the sky, only having, what is that? Is that about 120, 130 effective HP? It's not really too much. 100, I think it's about 119 effective HP right there, if my math is correct. A fantastic opportunity to heal up for many players, but right here, he doesn't have the heals to do so. So if he does go for that launch pad, it could spell danger for him if he doesn't manage to avoid some shots. He's not going to be able to heal himself back up. So maybe we could be seeing the on-foot rotate potentially for this zone, despite how many players are left.
And we'll have to see how and if he's even able to make that rotation. Now we see Costin coming in from a different angle. Looks like he just got himself into this zone or was playing edge. Now the rotates where the plans are starting to come through. Costin going up a little bit, trying to get some information, see how he can move through into this zone. He's got a long rotate. Now he's going to start left foot, right foot on the way in. We see Zap Zebra also in a pretty compromised position down there. Not much HP on him as well. Could use a nice elimination on a Costin. I don't know that either of them are going to be able to make it. We do see Zebra is going to go down there to Kinney. And Costin able to get bailed out by someone using a launch pad. He's got 7 builds, so he can build a box once he gets in, but that's about it.
Yep, that's about it. Not too many extensions to his builds will be possible, but he is actually really interestingly using the builds that are already there. If you guys didn't know, just outside of the Corny Crops area, they're already pre-builds. They're already pre-edited, and the first person to edit those into whatever it may be, maybe a reset build, it makes it their own build. So now Constant is inside of his own builds, despite the fact he only built one. He only built one of those walls, and now he's fully protected, which is a really, really great idea from him. Really genius in this low mat situation. He is going to have to try and use that harpoon, though, to try and find a refresh, because there's not too many of those opportunities around the map, but I like what he's done there.
And take a look at what our zone looks like. Whoever's up on Spire's in an awesome position. We see Costly, Smarty up there right above Costin. And everyone just try to find their space in the zone. A couple of people that need to be careful are, we see Foxman 1X down below. He's making a move, and I'm guessing that the zone is pulling over to where Costin landed based on that movement. This could be a really good game for him if he's able to find a refresh.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And yeah, we do get confirmation right there on the bottom right of the screen. We do see the half and half zone pulling all the way onto this hill. So that is bad for anyone that is on the northern side of the map. Not too bad for those that have taken up the opportunity to box up on the Spire, because of course that does have rotation potential in itself. You can hop on that little launch pad that's connected to the Spire, and I think it is facing the correct way. So they'll be able to get a free rotate right there for all of those players. But for Goatee, inside of the zone, just holding the builds, of which he does have a decent amount, 88 builds so far in the game is not too bad at all. The ammo not looking too great, but he does have some good heals as well, which is very, very good. It looks like he has a usage of a launch pad, of course, as well. And being in zone, being able to use that launch pad in the first or second moving zone is what's going to be most vital for him to rotate on in. Even if you do want to use someone else's launch pad as well, as we saw earlier, there is potential for a sort of recycling of launch pads almost in this whole sort of solo game mode. But I think he's going to want to have to use his zone more often than not.
Yeah, a lot of what happens, you get greedy, you try and hit somebody else's launch pad, or you even try and double dip and hit a launch pad twice. It works a lot of the time, but sometimes you make a mistake, you wind up getting beamed out of the air, especially when you're like the second or third person to hit it, because everyone just watched people take that launch, and now you're following suit. Now we're checking in with NPen here in a pretty good spot. His material count tells me that the refresh he got, fairly recent, and he's in a really good position, but no movement on NPen. He's going to have to rely on other people to make these rotates for him.
He is, yeah, we talked about it just then. The recycling of launch pads could be the bailout option for him, or he might have to go the olden route. The using of his both his feet, both of his legs are going to have to be what's going to carry him through this rotate. It is old-fashioned. It is back to sort of the olden days of Fortnite before we had too many mobility items. But Mpen is using that very well. He's getting ahead of zone, using his experience. Definitely one of the more experienced players in today's lineup. So I'm excited to see how he can do, and I like that from him. He's getting ahead of zone, not really focusing on too many players or too many eliminations as of yet, because he understands. He's thinking, okay, I have plenty of materials. I can start my way into zone very effectively, claiming this low ground layer as well. If he can get in front of a lot of the players, that's going to be so crucial. But he's just chilling right now. He's enjoying the life of being above Storm Surge. He might need to get a little bit more tags and a little bit more proactive with those later on, but he's staying on low ground, unlike a lot of the players that seem to be padding up on height right now.
The wave comes through. It's like raining players, and everyone's trying to find their spot. People are going to be accidentally falling in each other's boxes, and the eliminations are coming whether you want them or not. You got to make the plays as everyone makes these rotations in the zone. Zap Games is trying to make his way. He's 1 HP. He gets beamed up. He goes down. Looks like that was Dustin able to pick him up, and Chazbo up on high ground, but Yago doesn't want to allow that to happen. Those two are going to fight for that. As we see, here is that mythic burst that we've been looking for.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier, the great potential that this weapon can offer. It does have a great rate of fire, great damage output as well, and it's going to be interesting to see if Create DC right here can clutch up and make the most of this fantastic loader that he does have. It's almost power weapon after power weapon, including the Harpoon as well. He's going to be able to grab himself some refreshes with that. He hops inside of someone's box right there. They're utilizing the launch pad and utilizing it very effectively. No white heals, though, does make a play for the Storm. Maybe he has another launch pad. I think he is going to have to play from which he does. Goes to the little launch pad, tries to get ahead of zone. He does it again. He hops in someone else's box and he gets the elimination gun.
Oh my! Create DC, you're a madman! He's just going box to box. He doesn't care who it is. He's able to pick up the elimination. Now we're in the top 15. It is big placement points time for everyone. Trying to secure these last few points. Looks like Yago has taken the high ground, but Joskilla right below him looking to make plays as well. And then here is the low ground. Everyone fighting for that little bit of positioning. Joskilla going for it. Looks like he's on some speed. He gets up, but no, drop down. He takes out Yago. He's sent back to the lobby. It is Joskilla's game. He is on high ground. He has those chili chug splashes that give you so much speed boost. And he's going to be looking to close this out on high ground, but hey, not if Edge 4 has anything to say about it. Edge 4 is historically one of the best collegiate players, and he is once again making his statement in Game 1.
That is absolutely right. He's trying to make a statement, but Joskilla right now finding it tough to make a statement of high ground intent. He only has 3 bills to his name, which is not going to be enough to close out this match. There's 2. He only has 1 left. How's he going to use it? We'll find out later. Constant right there picking up an elimination on the backside of zone as well. That's his 5th of this game. There's his 6th as well. A fantastic shot around the corner, utilizing that peak so effectively well. Now that there's 4 players remaining, Npen taking out Mustache right there as well. Constant, of course, we saw right there picking up another elimination. Edge picking up an elimination as well. There's 3 players to go. It's 6 eliminations for Costin. We're seeing a large variety of gameplay styles so far, and he seems to be the one that's going for elimination. He's gone for another. Can he make it? 8! He can! He's done it. He's closed out the victory royale, and he's made it with 8 eliminations. Wow.
What a game there by Costin. Talk about nerves. There was absolutely none there by Costin, popping off for 8 eliminations. I mean, why do you can't ask for a better start than that?
You really can't. We talked about it earlier. Getting a good start is going to be absolutely vital. We said you don't need an absolutely world-beating start, but I think that could quite be it. A fantastic elimination and a victory royale as well. 8 eliminations to his name. You couldn't ask for much more.
Yeah, we'll have to see where exactly he winds up on the leaderboards. We'll tally those up. But I want to talk about how we saw Edge 4. We haven't talked about him yet, and I wanted to make it a point to bring him up, but he is probably the most consistent solo player in the collegiate scene. Not only doing it in PlayVS, but also has been able to now compete on the highest level. He's playing really well, and we saw him once again in Endgame right there.
Yeah, having that experience is going to be absolutely vital, not just in these sort of finals format, the single lobby events, but also with these sort of solo events, you know, maybe you're sort of mid-ground. He has the experience to know where's high ground, where's low ground, how he's going to play it out. Absolutely splendidly done from him as well.
Well done by a lot of our competitors. We'll go tally up the scores and we'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break and see you on the other side.
set me free or give me death, yeah. Living good, I've been blessed, yeah. Shout out all my enemies, all the best. You can set me free or give me death, man, I'm on my way, yeah. You can find out, you on time out. You been dealing with the devil, where you sign at? Yeah, oh Lord, you getting financed. Me, I'm talking ownership, baby, that's where my mind at. Try that, yeah, me, I threw my money down. And you know that it's good, we can skip the run around. And I don't need no yes, man, I'm all the way down. Yo, and I am not for sale, that's in case you couldn't tell, but y'all know better now. You can set me free or give me death, yeah. Living good, I've been blessed, yeah. Shout out all my enemies, all the best. You can set me free or give me death, man, I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. Man, I'm on my way, yeah. And I can do this all day, man, I'm on my way. Said I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. And I can do this all day, man, I'm on my way. Said I'm on my way. Real life better than the internet. Keep what you been selling, I ain't into that. We are doing business, this is simple math. I invest, you know I get it back, you believe that? Yeah. They asking what the fame like, tell them hang tight. Let me holler when the pay right, put that on my damn life. You know I'm the man, right? Show them what the plan like, but y'all look slow, don't understand right, yeah. So tell me how you feel, baby, cause I've been working all the way up to a meal, baby. Yeah, man of the year, how I feel lately. You know the deal, baby, you know the drill, yeah, I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. Man, I'm on my way, yeah. And I can do this all day, man, I'm on my way. Said I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. And I can do this all day, man, I'm on my way. Said I'm on my way. You can set me free or give me death, yeah. You can set me free or give me death, yeah. Shout out all my enemies, all the best. You can set me free or give me death, man, I'm on my way. Living good, I've been blessed, yeah. Living good, I've been blessed, yeah. Shout out all my enemies, all the best. You can set me free or give me death, man, I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. Man, I'm on my way, yeah. And I can do this all day, man, I'm on my way. Said I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. And I can do this all day, man, I'm on my way. Said I'm on my way.
Hello and welcome back. It is Somebody's Gone alongside Mini Miner here for the PlayVS College Finals. And Mini Miner, I think we're not gonna wait. Let's check out the standings real quick and see what we got.
Yeah, let's get right into it. Of course, we saw Constant right there getting himself a victory royale, 8 eliminations to his name as well, which is absolutely fantastic. Of course, puts him in that top slot by a large margin as well. That's an 11-point gap between him and second place. Though, big shout out though to Dustin right there, picking up a high elimination 11th place, which shows that it's not just about placement. If you pick up a few eliminations, you can definitely make it to the top as well.
Man, what a beast there by Costin, able to pop off in that first game, and we're gonna see a few more of those. I'm sure that he's not the only one. Maybe some solid 6 solo clutches. I mean, Solo's gonna provide it to us all day, and let's check it out. We're going into game 2.
Right on into it, game number 2. A fantastic game number 1 before, but now I'm sure we'll be seeing some more action in the second game of the day. We got Cody Well right here, just on this IO base, just to the north side of Retail Row. And near towards the sort of Dirty Docks area as well. A fantastic little area, really concentrated area of loot. Sort of contrary to a lot of these sort of crash sites, this area is really great because all of the chests and all of the loot, the floor loot and the mats, they're all in the same sort of area, which makes it absolutely perfect for solos. You don't have to go sort of running around the whole map, which of course it does make it a little bit easier with these slipstreams, but I like what he's doing here. He's just sort of looting up, keeping onto this high ground as well, making sure that if he does see some opportunities to pick up some tags, he will do that. Hopping back on board now with Leppy, and it looks as though there's 3 people contesting Cracky Cliffs here.
Yeah, don't know that this can support 3 people, but we'll find out. Leppy didn't finish in our top 10 game 1. Still plenty of time, and maybe something off spawn had to do with where he finished early on. Not in the best position as far as shield goes, but that loadout, the weaponry in his inventory is so solid. Just needs to find some shields to be able to give him a chance within a fight. You know that main building, that player is going to be fully healthy because of the splash or the loot barrels and giving him the HP. And Leppy seems to be down bad without anything while his opponents are collecting that shield up, getting themselves super healthy.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. He hasn't quite been able to find any of those shield items quite so far yet, but though we're hopping back over to Coral Castle, we are in the area of the fish and the area of the Bizik. Bizik, of course, knowing this area so well, he claims it as his drop spot, and we'll see if he can claim it in this second game of Spawn Fight as well. It's Falx FN on the receiving end of the pressure from Bizik, who does, of course, get shot himself right there. 84 damage with that Grey Pump. Can Falx heal, though? I think Bizik's using his experience very well to keep applying the pressure, ensuring that Falx cannot quite get his health himself healed all the way back up. Only 2 bills now to his name, so he is going to have to make something happen sooner rather than later. But is now the time? No, he gets hit again. 35 HP down to nearly elimination for Falx. Is it going to be it all for him right now? Is it going to be all over? We'll have to find out. Bizik is on the hunt, though. He smells there's some blood in the water, and he is definitely in the area to capitalize on that. Here is Bizik, and Falx all the way back down to his low HP. No bills to his name right now, though. Can he find this little way? Maybe a big one pump onto Bizik. It will be enough to take him out, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think so either. Bizik's been controlling this fight. He just can't get that final tag there onto Falx. Falx can make something happen if he can turn it around. Bizik's gonna jump in, clean this up. It was a matter of time. Very well played there by Bizik. Not playing too aggressive, but making sure he's still walking away with the elimination. Now he'll have his time. Like you said, he can go fish. Now he's cleaned up his castle. It's time to go check out and see what all the good critters are going and doing in the water.
Yeah, and a really great way to pick up some loot, of course, as well. We talked so much about how effective the fish can be and how great they can be, particularly in solos as well, right at the end. If the game does go to a heal off, getting yourself stacked up on those floppers, maybe those slurp fish items as well, is going to be absolutely vital. So maybe he'll be able to pick up some good loot from that as well. But Bizik knows this area well. I'm sure he has a very good idea as to how to rotate and loot this whole area, utilizing those sort of bounce pads there as well, and maybe even rotating into the sort of corrupted area, because it seems as though he is in zone, which is really good news for him. He can sort of spend a little bit longer fishing, maybe take his time, maybe put on some good music, maybe read a nice magazine as he's going for a nice fishing holiday. Oh no, he's not. He's using the harpoon. He's doing it very quickly, which is good. That's a good idea because there's a player looming. It's just to the sort of southwest side, and I think this player could be looking for some a little bit of engagement here.
And Bizik has quite the interesting story. Formerly a player on the console or mobile route, he has turned into an absolute beast and really regained his status as one of the better players on the game. And it's not easy to go from one input to another, much less a whole platform to a different one. And we see Bizik, I mean, the intelligence, the strats, everything is transferred. Now it was all just a matter of once he figured out the mechanics, he would be back to where he was. And Bizik pretty often competing at a high level or at some of the top spots in these tournaments, minor. And, you know, he doesn't really have anything to do at this point, so might wind up going and fighting that other guy who's taking shots at him from Shark.
Yeah, he'll be more than confident as well. Picking up that early elimination will give him that boost of confidence that he needs going into game number 2 right here. I didn't see him too much in game number 1. Of course, if you didn't catch it in the last trio finals, him and his trio did actually come out on top. They were number 1. They won the whole thing in the PlayVS College trio finals. So he's got some experience of winning under his belt. He knows what it feels like to win one of these, and I'm sure he will be on the hunt to be a winner yet again. We're seeing Booster right now, though, just in this sort of risky reels area. Plenty of people that have rotated to this area as well. A really good amount of materials here. There are some cars as well to rotate. Those vehicles in the middle of the area can be absolutely vital into in terms of rotating in. And of course, there is an NPC right there as well. I'm thinking not a lot of players know, but you can actually purchase a pump shotgun from this NPC. So it could be a blue one, it could be a purple one, could even be one of those legendary pump shotguns if you do have the gold to do so. And maybe he's doing that right now. He's sort of boxing up around this NPC. And yeah, it looks as though he's picking up some loot there as well, picking up some minis. And maybe he's going to buy himself a pump shotgun. No, maybe he doesn't have the facilities. He may not have the gold to pick up that. But I think that's why we see a lot of players sort of lurking in this risky reels area.
So I want to tell you, the first day, like literally my first 3 games of the season, I go and talk to the NPC here at Risky. I got that legendary pump shotgun. I had no idea what happened. I was like, oh, is this a new mechanic? And to be honest with you, I don't believe I've ever gotten another one from talking to an NPC afterwards. So expectations were really high at the beginning of the season. Maybe the RNG will swing my way towards the end.
Yeah, potentially, but unfortunately for Boost, I mean, it wasn't too bad. Getting some minis right there is definitely a very, very nice pull from those NPCs. Those NPCs, I'll tell you what, they are so generous. Every single time you talk to a new one, they give you a bit of loot. It's like Christmas every single day for those NPCs, always giving, and I have a lot of respect for them, even if it's sometimes bandages, which I'm not always impressed with, but, you have to be grateful, and I'm sure he's very grateful for those 3 minis right there as well. We're hopping on board, though, with Create DC. Actually going into this game, he was second. We saw him popping off earlier on as well in game number 1, had himself 5 eliminations going into this second game, so he's definitely a force to be reckoned with going into this second game. And of course, another force to be reckoned with is Colston right here, who is looting up this whole little IO base area in the center of the map. Look at that though, 46 points. What a start he had.
And he needs to keep this up. I mean, 46 he'll do well. He's definitely put himself on the board and will be walking away with some kind of scholastic prizing. But, you have that big game 1. That's not all you want. And we see he's taking shots at Costly in the background. But it looks like Costin, his game plan is kind of just play slow, play edge, and walk in with zones. I like that. I don't think you want to put yourself too far into these zones, especially as a solo, as long as you have some kind of vehicle to get into spots that you want. What really winds up happening, though, is so many people base up, and then you can't do anything once you're in, quote-unquote, a good position in solos. But Costin has the freedom to move around, do whatever he wants at this point. And I like playing loose and free as opposed to boxed up and taking shots through my wall.
Yeah, I agree, and you mentioned it right there, how difficult it can be to rotate in a little bit later, as opposed to trios, where of course you do have 33 teams. In solos, there are 100 individual teams, if you like. Every single player is indeed their own entity, it's their own team. So they'll each have their own boxes. That's so many more different pairs of eyes that will be looking at you as you are rotating in. So making sure you can make those rotates cleanly, effectively, and smoothly is what's going to be so vital in this solos game mode. We don't get to see too much solos, so I'm really excited to see how that plays a part today, especially in the finals format, as Create DC seems to get himself a little bit more loot there as well, opting to drop that purple SMG, the upgraded version of the SMG. Maybe he will take the harpoon, or maybe he'll take the SMG. Yeah, he goes for the harpoon option. Maybe a very, very smart choice, particularly in solos. You can get those refreshes a little bit easier without having to go for high elimination games, which we know he is definitely capable of, and he will have to get a little bit of action going right here because he is 45 below.
Yeah, we'll see how exactly he decides to do that. I'm a fan. I would have picked up the SMG, left my AR on the ground, and then played with that. I think it works well enough in solos. Like, you're not taking super long-range tags after third zone, and typically it winds up working. We'll see how it works out for Create DC. But now we're checking out Scav, who's trying to pressure a player above him. So many people here in Pleasant Park. They're all hanging out. Scav's going to have to make a play. He's below Storm Surge, so he's trying to get the pressure on, but no! Quickly sent back to the lobby there by Mandinka. That was so quick.
That really was Scarf right there, going for the wall and getting absolutely shut down by Mandinka with that legendary pump shotgun. We know that that weapon is capable of producing over 200 damage to the head. 203 damage to be exact, and I think he hit him right there with a maximum damage headshot. What a fantastic refresh for Mandinka, who is already in a very, very good position. He doesn't have to worry too much about rotation right now. He really does have very, very good loot. He has those chili chugs as well, newly introduced into the season. Of course, right there, with the sort of rewards from that refresh is going to be so vital for him making his way into this endgame.
They will be, and especially just sitting on that. Like, he doesn't have to go anywhere. If he pulls zone, this could be one of the best players in this lobby, as we see a couple more players going down. Storm Surge is about to start. So you see the bottom right corner, it says 2 out of 9. In the end of second zone, we're seeing the warnings. Now we see damage threshold below 64 for Create DC. He's going to have to make a play. Once it ticks over to third zone, you have about 10 seconds, and then Storm Surge is going to start taking effect. You will lose 25 HP every 5 seconds, and you can't typically out-heal it. Create DC knows that. He's going right head-to-head here, trying to get some shots here on Dode. I don't know if that's going to happen, as these players are going to take shots. Who's going to come out alive on this one? It is Create DC takes down Dode, as well as Edge4 picking up one. Nax's going to get an elimination there in the feed, and everyone seems to be getting active while Storm Surge pops.
Yep, Storm Surge is just about to be active, and every other player in the lobby is getting proactive with their Storm Surge tags. They want to try and get as many as possible. In solos, you don't need to be quite as much as above as you do need to be in the team gamers like trios or duos, but it is still definitely a factor. So Create DC right now might be thinking, okay, we're 51 above. I think we're looking pretty good, but maybe he needs to try and find a few more assault rifle tags. He doesn't have to worry too much about those elimination points because he's already got 2 in the bag already this game. Now he's up to 119 above, so I'm sure he'll be happy with that going into this game. He does, of course, have the usage of the launch pad as well as a really, really good rotate, but my only worry for him right now is the lack of heals, the lack of shield and sort of white HP items in his inventory.
Yeah, he'll have to make something happen from that, and at least he'll be able to make these rotates if those launch pads are helpful to him. Don't know how well he'll be doing if he's not able to heal up, and we'll see. Miner, you know, are you someone that likes to play high ground? Are you a low ground person? If you're playing in this, what layer is Mini Miner going to be on?
Well, I mean, if I played in this, to be honest, I probably wouldn't make it this far. I'll be honest, I probably would be out of the game by now. But if I was to, by some miracle, to be in this point in the game, I would definitely be trying to go for a little bit of a later height take. We saw it work so well in the first game for Costin. He took height a little bit later on as opposed to going for it early. And I think that's what you really need to do. It is, of course, a situational based thing. So if you do have a lot of materials in your inventory, you do have the facility to maybe launch pad up onto height, or maybe even use a pepper to get up onto height, then maybe you can take it and dominate it early. But high ground is not quite as safe as it is in trios, in solos. So it is very difficult to hold that once you do get there. So for me, I'd be trying to go for high ground and looking at it all the time, but it's not really my main priority going into this. What about you?
That's well said. Well, very well said. If you're in chat and you just heard what Miner just said, take that into account, especially the piece that is not a one-size-fits-all. You got to adapt and play with what you're given. I really like that, Miner.
Thank you. Well, well, I should be competing at a high level then, if that's what it is. I just can't quite put it into practice. And a lot of these players, you know, they're so good at it. They know how to play. They know their strengths. They know their weaknesses, and they are most crucially able to put that knowledge into action. You know, we've seen Constant do it in game number 1, going for that later high ground take. He did it so effectively well, and he has the knowledge to go along with it. You know, he has incredible talent, incredible mechanical skill, but that only gets you so far. You know, you can't always rely on that to carry you through these games. And he's shown so far today by winning the game number 1. He has both the mental strength, the mental sort of, you know, the lack of nerves, if you like, going into the first game, and the skill to take himself all the way today. I'm excited to see how he manages the rest of the tournament.
It's going to be in a tough spot as Zone is pulling up to the northeast. Costin, we know, down in that southwest corner. He'll have to figure something out, maybe find a vehicle, grab it, hit the old left foot, right foot express, and maybe just walk it on this way. Now we're seeing what Create DC is doing. and that's nothing. He's hanging out. He's letting everything happen around him and trying to figure out, okay, I know there's a player behind me. I know there's players off to the right. I need to make this rotate very cheaply, and I don't have the heals to get tagged up. So we'll see if Create is going to go and try and refresh and recycle that launch pad just placed in front of him, or if he's going to use his own, as it's going to be a little safer. But everyone's seeming to launch right now, and this could be an opportunity for DC to get a potential elim and refresh.
Yeah, if he can get that elim and refresh, that's going to be absolutely vital for him making his way into the latter stages of this endgame. We saw him perform very, very well in game number 1. Not quite in as good of a situation here in game number 2. He doesn't quite have the mobility or indeed the heal items in order to make it all the way to the end. Even the material count was looking a little bit low for him as well. But we see the zone. We see the treacherous rotate that these players have to make. And it looks as though he did manage to make it in. We're hopping back on board with him right here, right now, as well, as he is a little bit below the Storm Surge threshold, which is a bit of a worrying sight for him. A bit of a worrying sight because that assault rifle ammo, those medium bullets, they're not looking too great right now. So he has to make each and every one of those 79 bullets count, because if not, he could be in a sticky situation.
And he's in a really bad spot right here because he doesn't have line of sight on a lot of players. It's really just Hunter and Silva right in front of him are the only potential opportunities he has to get Storm Surge. So DC is either crossing his fingers, hoping 13 people go down in let's call it 10 seconds at this point, or he's going to be jumping on someone trying to make a play. As we see, here is the zone, everyone. Kind of pretty spaced out. For a solo match in Fort Zone, we see a lot more spaced out players than we typically do, and now the fire starts coming through. The Storm Surge is starting to take effect, and everyone's trying to find their tags.
Yep, everyone is trying to find their tags indeed. Renegade Rancer right now, though, does seem to have a bit of a treacherous rotate to make himself. He does have the usage of those chili chug splashes as well, a fantastic item to utilize in solos. Of course, you don't have to worry about getting your teammates involved as well, because you don't have any, you know? You can just chug yourself whenever you want, and you can make the decision to rotate whenever you feel necessary. The most crucial thing for him here is making sure that he doesn't overcommit to any mid-game or mid-rotate engagements. He really doesn't want to try and shoot too many people, because if he does, he could get held by a lot of different players. He's above on the Storm Surge. He really doesn't have to worry too much about a refresh at this current time. As long as he can rotate in cleanly and safely, he can definitely find a good rotator. It looks as though someone does pad at the backside of zone. He's going to be able to benefit from that. We see Okus, we see Goatee right there, as well as Jar Crispy in the air. So plenty of players for Great DC to try and utilize his assault rifle bullets with. It looks as though he might have picked up a refresh. Yeah, I think he got another elimination there, Gun.
Yeah, Great DC having a game, another one. Able to do just enough, get that elimination, and now we're going with the SMG. We see he drops the AR. Interesting choice. I don't think you have to in this case, but he's here, I'm not. That's what he chooses to do. That's what he's choosing to do, and getting a favorable zone, too, for this rotation. He's not going to have to spend much, if at all, to get into this zone, and we'll be able to play for first moving with those launch pads.
Yeah, that shows real maturity and talent and experience right there. To not have to want to jump into someone's box and really get that Storm Surge and that refresh too early on. You really don't want to snap at it. You really want to take your time with it, and he's done that to perfection. He has that refresh. He has, of course, held on to those launch pads, and now he has a good amount of materials to make his way through this endgame as well. We're seeing Buxy right now, though, in a bit of an engagement himself. So the shot comes out, and it's not quite going to connect with Rampage, who is at the bottom side of that ramp. Interesting choice to take that purple lever action shotgun as well. He does find himself a legendary pump shotgun there as well, but he's not able to try and pick it up because Casca is just on the other side of that wall. A very, very difficult situation. You almost don't want to tunnel vision that fantastic weapon, because that's what's going to happen. Players are going to look at you. They're going to be keeping an eye on you, making sure you're not going to be stealing any of their loot. And now he's down to pretty low HP.
Yeah, that was a dangerous one, but it's hard to turn away when you see that gold shining in your face. So I don't blame you, Bucky. Obviously, we know now it's not the right play, but I would have went for it as well. And we see the players moving through the air. Knock playing the backside of zone. He's going to go back and look like it is float up on the high ground, owning that position. A little early here in solos to be taking high ground.
It is. It depends on his situation. You know, he might have plenty of materials. He might have some peppers or something to be able to hold the front side of zone, but it's so much more difficult to hold that high ground as a solo, particularly with the launch pad potential from players down below. It's going to be really, really difficult for him to hold that all the way through, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone does contest him for it. Of course, if you can take that player out and shut them down, you can pick up that refresh, which Eric right here might be able to do. He does. He picks up a fantastic refresh. He was down to 8 bills right there, but now he's gone all the way up to 50. A really, really great refresh for him as he's playing the sort of middle ground layer of this whole skirmish, this whole madness that is the Fortnite endgame. Some of the best content, the best visuals of esports. I mean, I love watching the endgames here, and this is where it all comes down to it. Float Road utilizing that mythic burst as well. Looks as though he is on the high ground. He's sort of tarping like he is. I think there's no one above him, which is good news for him. But what's not good news? The lack of materials.
He's gonna have to find that refresh. Doesn't have the harpoon, so he'll have to go down and grab it himself. It doesn't come to him like if you have a harp. Either way, Float Road up on the high ground, trying to hold it. We are going down a little bit. That is good sometimes, but also super negative when you're on the high ground. You have to drop down. You spend just that many more materials. Now zone looks like it's gonna pull in the favor of Float Road back up towards him. This could be one of those games where he doesn't have to do anything on the high ground. He just sits up here. The rest of the lobby does the work as NPen takes out Kinney. And now NPen looking to be in a good spot here on the low ground.
NPen picking up his 4th elimination of the game right there. A fantastic one. Maybe he can get 5. Maybe he can make it 5. A little 5-piece for NPen. Maybe or maybe not. He's very, very calm right there. Very, very patient. Takes that flopper, of course, as well. But he has to be proactive in making his way into zone. But no, he picks up the elimination. A fantastic one on aim red right there. Really, really great from NPen. That is now his 5th elimination of the game. There's 5 players remaining in this zone. 0 builds for NPen. Those refreshes weren't quite enough to carry him through this end game. It's going to be close. He doesn't have the whites. Is he going to be able to close it out? But no, he goes down.
He goes down. Now we tune in with Okus. Also on the low ground in a shambles position. We have one build. He's going to hold the right-hand peak, look for a player to come through this wall. Smarty might be doing exactly that, but Okus might run out of time. He doesn't have the ability to sit in this box. Actually, whoever was above him... Oh, no! He got distracted and goes down to Smarty right in front of him. Now we tune back in with Bizek, another player. Nobody has any mats at this end game, and Bizek's looking to navigate through these old builds. It's Smarty. It's Yago fighting. This is all in Bizek's favor. They're both in the storm. I don't know if anyone even makes it. Bizek is going to walk away with this one. That's a 7 elimination victory royale.
7 elimination victory royale for Bizek. Indeed, a fantastically well-played endgame right there. He kept himself in the storm as the other 2 players battled it out in the storm. He said, okay, I'm going to be in the safe zone. You guys do your thing, and I'll take home the victory. Very well done from him, picking up his 7th elimination there at the end. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, those are those easy ones. Sometimes the game just hands it to you, and Bizek able to take advantage. Obviously, nothing handed to you when you're walking away with 7 eliminations. That was one great game by Bizek, and hey, we alluded to it at the beginning. He's a good player. Mini Miner told you he just won trios, and he's looking to win some more.
He really is. He's definitely looking to win some more, and I'm excited to see how he does the rest of the tournament as well.
All right, hey, we're gonna throw it to a quick break, but we will be right back with some more Play vs. Fortnite action.
Set me free or give me death, yeah. Living good, I've been blessed, yeah. Shout out all my enemies, all the best. You can set me free or give me death, man, I'm on my way, yeah. You can find out, you on timeout. You been dealing with the devil, where you sign at? Yeah, oh Lord, you getting financed. Me, I'm talking ownership, baby, that's where my mind at. Try that, yeah, me, I threw my money down. And you know that it's good, we can skip the run around. And I don't need no yes, man, I'm all the way down. Yo, and I am not for sale, that's in case you couldn't tell, but y'all know better now. You can set me free or give me death, yeah. Living good, I've been blessed, yeah. Shout out all my enemies, all the best. You can set me free or give me death, man, I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. Man, I'm on my way, yeah. And I can do this all day, man, I'm on my way. Said I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. And I can do this all day, man, I'm on my way. Said I'm on my way. Real life better than the internet. Keep people you been selling, I ain't into that. We are doing business, this is simple math. I invest, you know I get it back, you believe that? Yeah, they asking what the fame like, tell them hang tight. Let me holler when the pay right, put that on my damn life. You know I'm the man, right? Show them what the plan like, but y'all look slow, don't understand right, yeah. So tell me how you feel, baby, cause I've been working on the way up to a meal, baby. Yeah, man of the year, how I feel lately. You know the deal, baby, you know the drill, yeah, I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah, man, I'm on my way, yeah. And I can do this all day, man, I'm on my way. Said I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. And I can do this all day, man, I'm on my way. Said I'm on my way. You can set me free or give me death, yeah. You can set me free or give me death, yeah. Shout out all my enemies, all the best. You can set me free or give me death, man, I'm on my way. Living good, I've been blessed, yeah. Living good, I've been blessed, yeah. Shout out all my enemies, all the best. You can set me free or give me death, man, I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. Man, I'm on my way, yeah. And I can do this all day, man, I'm on my way. Said I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. I'm on my way, yeah. And I can do this all day, man, I'm on my way. Said I'm on my way.
2 games down, and we have 4 more to go. It is Somebody's Gone alongside Mini Miner. It's been an interesting 2 matches so far. Nothing really setting the pace. No one's taking off, taking control. Mini Miner, what have you liked so far that you've seen?
Well, I'm absolutely loving it so far. We have solos, of course, the solo action. I've been excited to see all of this action all day, and it isn't disappointing at all. The standings right here, there are on the screen. Up on top right now is Smarty. He's knocked off Constant from the top spot, who ended up in 50th place in that previous game, though. But Smarty has been very, very consistent so far. In game number 1, he had a 7th place with 0 eliminations, and just then he had a 2nd place with 8 eliminations. Already seeing the more consistent players that are coming out on top. We can't forget Bizik, though, of course, who had a very, very good game right there.
It did. Jumps right up the leaderboards. We're seeing what's going on from 11 to 20. Dustin Float, we saw, was on high ground at some point in that previous match, unable to capitalize, but is able to secure a number of points, putting him up into 12th. We see Okus, Joshkilla, Richtix, and Bukti all closing out our top 20, and a few names have popped up so far. They've been all over the map. We've seen so much almost craziness in this mid game where players are trying to figure out, get a feel for how these lobbies play out. And after 2 matches, now you either have a plan or your plan isn't working, and it's time to adapt and figure out something that will actually get you into these end games.
Yeah, and of course, as you mentioned right there, we're still early days. This is still an early stage of the competition. We still have 4 more games to go. Plenty of time for these players to maybe make some adjustments. Maybe make some adjustments to their rotating, their loot, their engagements. You know, do they take fight a little bit early on, or do they leave it a little bit later on? It's all dependent on the person and their current situation. Maybe you're thinking, okay, maybe I need to go for a little bit more eliminations, knowing how important they are, as we have seen. Those elimination points have really been what's king so far. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how these players develop throughout the next 4 games. Will we see some big strategy changes, or will people sort of stick to their guns and think, okay, I'm just going to stick to what I know, and I'm going to try and clutch up in style?
Yeah, the tough thing for some of these guys, this may be their very first set lobby format. So you've never played in something like this, and it is a new experience. So now it's time to figure out what went wrong, what went well, and for Costin, it seems to be going pretty well so far. But now we're choosing to go far south. We see the loadout. We're a flopper player. Nothing wrong with that. I say that as a compliment. I love the flops, and apparently Costin does too.
I mean, who wouldn't love them? They're fantastic, aren't they? Look at them. They're so nice. They're so healthy, you know. They're so orange. I love that. And, you know, they really are so good for those end game clutches. You can tank a little bit of Storm, of course, heal your way back up by 40 of that white HP, which is absolutely vital when the Storm is shrinking. Everyone is in such a compressed area. It's a really, really great item to have in your inventory. The main thing for him right now, though, for Constant, is to make sure that he can keep hold of those floppers. He really doesn't want to have to use them too early on in this game, because, you know, you really want to be saving them. There's not too many fishing spots around the map when you get towards the more central areas. So when he's rotating here, he wants to try and utilize as many of those sort of other healing items that you can find in chests as floor loot, because as we know, you can't find floppers in chests, and you most certainly can't find them in floor loot. They live in the sea. They would be quite unhappy with being flopped around on the floor loot.
Hey, you can find them off other players, though. You get those elims, especially in endgame. You'll see a lot more floppers as we get through these games. And now we're seeing what's going on at Boney Burbs. So many players making their way through here. Smarty, currently on the top of our leaderboard. He's just rotating on through. He saw all that action going on. He's like, all right, thank you guys. I will go find my place up on top of this crash site. You guys do you and Boney, and I'll keep doing me on top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, he's quite happy right there. He's just rotating in, using his vehicle. He's thinking, okay, yep, I'll just drive all the way through the madness that is going on in the Boney Burbs area. Quite often a pinch point for a lot of teams as they are rotating through a very much more central-based POI. And when a lot of people do rotate through there, they like to try and box up. They like to try and utilize the refarm potential inside of Boney Burbs. As we see Smarty doing right here, he's made himself a little base, but he is, of course, refarming that brick up to maximum as well. So he's able to get a hold of as much much brick as possible so that he can make his way into the end game with as many materials as he possibly can. Because as we've seen so far, the lack of material in the end game is really what ends up eliminating a lot of these players. You know, if you don't have those eliminations early on to get you those refreshes, or indeed the correct amount of farming, as we see Create DC doing here, it can lead to your elimination and ultimately sort of bring you down on the leaderboard.
And you also talked about it earlier, a lot of these players are going to be used to playing trios. So especially if you're a tarper, you'll get into that mindset of, oh, I have so many mats, I can just tarp my way fully through end games. And if you're not used to playing solos, or it's been a little bit, you'll forget. You quickly run out of materials. You can't just full tarp. You have to find other ways to get yourself through these end games. And if you're not being really cheap with your tarps, the only other way is going to be refreshes, and that's running straight through players.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. We've seen a lot of players doing that so far. A lot of the sort of top end of the leaderboard is really dominated by players that are picking up those eliminations later on in the game. Of course, you're combining that naturally then with the placement points. For every single player that you eliminate, especially in that top 10, you're getting an extra placement point and those extra 2 elimination points as well. You're almost manufacturing your own placement points because, of course, this is solos. Once you take out one player, you are then, of course, fully eliminating them. They are gone. So particularly if you are in the later stage of the game, if you can get some eliminations, that not only brings up those points, but also it can really give you a better chance in the placement side of things as well. Speaking of placement, Isaac, of course, placed up on the top end of the leaderboard, not having too much of a great start in game number 1, coming 52nd with 0 eliminations, having a fantastic game number 2, though. We got to talk about it. A first place with 7 eliminations. We followed him along throughout nearly the whole of that second game, and wow, what a talent he is.
Yeah, it was only a matter of time until Isaac grabbed one. It wasn't going to be left up for long. He's one of the better players in this lobby and clearly showing us, confirming that in game 2. And once again, another favorable zone pull. When you land Coral, your worst nightmare is those caddy zones that go all the way down to the south. But Isaac, past couple of games have been pretty favorable for him, finding a good zone, maybe only having to go into Believer Beach, and that could mean another great match for him here, Miner.
Yeah, he's really set up for success right there. He knows how to loot that whole area very, very effectively. And I think more crucially, he knows how to rotate on out of there to know where's the best position to box up. You know, he has that experience. Where am I going to box up? Where am I going to find each individual bit of loot, bit of materials, and maybe some mid-game eliminations as well. As we see, Enpen looks as though he's picked up himself an elimination as well. He's picking up some shots on top of the players on Spire and just sort of chilling on the edge side of this zone, maybe popping a big pot. Yeah, he just about pops a big pot right there as well. And it was actually Edge up on top of this sort of hotel area at Believer Beach. A fantastic hotel. Personally, I've never stayed there myself. It looks quite nice, but Edge he's in the penthouse right now. He's loving life up there.
He is, and not much you can really do when a player's all the way up there like that. And there's so much vision that he has around him. He's going to be sitting here taking tags all day on players. And, you know, Edge 4, we talked about it, another one of these amazing collegiate players. Really, really good. I'd expect him to win one of these matches. He is pretty much due for it every tournament he plays in. Isaac was able to get the last one. Now it's Edge 4's turn, and he's already looking for shots, farming his Storm Surge tag, and this is some great positioning. We'll see if zone pulls in his favor, and if it does, if you're in the middle of third zone on top of this base, you are in the best spot in the game.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. You mentioned it right there. Being in the middle of the third zone is absolutely vital because then, of course, you're more than likely, it sometimes does happen where you don't pull fourth zone, but you are in the best position to pull the fourth zone. And that is crucial for multiple reasons. Not only are you inside the zone, you don't have to waste your materials and heals to rotate on in, but more crucially, you're on the edge, usually, of the fourth zone. And that enables you to have a good chance at pulling the fifth zone, which is the next zone. So it's putting yourself in an early position to really not, it sort of gives you that flexibility. You know, you don't have to waste those materials. You don't have to go for eliminations as Moon Jaith is going for right here. He's really getting lit up as well from all different angles, and that's the danger. When you're rotating like this, you're going for eliminations. There's plenty of other eyes looking at you and plenty of people that are looking to capitalize here.
It was so funny. Jaith was going for an elimination there onto Yeezus, trying to put pressure on. Mac beams him up, then another player beams Mac, and now we're all just sitting in our boxes once again, trying to figure out, okay, we did our business. Jaith actually continuing to put shots on. He doesn't want to let this go. Maybe holding a grudge against Mac. He was about to get in here on Yeezus, and now he's not letting that player just walk away.
Yeah, he's really not. And when you have the power of that purple assault rifle as well there, you have the upgraded version of the assault rifle in your inventory, you really can rain down some fire. The shots can come out from all different angles, and you can really afford to maybe connect with a few of those shots because, of course, it does do 35 damage to the body, double damage to the headshot as well. So it really, really is a very, very solid weapon, or less than double damage for a headshot. I believe it's 1.5 times the headshot multiplier. So a really, really solid weapon to use. And if you can connect with a few of those headshots, I believe it's 52 damage that it will do to that player's that player's health. It's really great, and it is great to see that Jaith is utilizing that as well. A lot of players will just take that weapon and think, okay, I'll just use it later on. You know, I don't need it right now, but I like what he's doing. He's utilizing it and really taking advantage of the power that the weapon has. He's in the back of zone right now. This is not a good situation for him. Is he going to be able to pop that medkit in time? It's a 2-tick. It might not be possible though, as the zone is close, but I don't think it's going to be enough for Moon Jaith. Is he going to be able to get this medkit off? I think he does. And there's a bit of a storm battle going on right here.
What is going on here? Why are we diving into Storm? Jaith will say, thank you very much. I'll take that. But Float Row, what are we doing, man? Like, come on. We can't be jumping on the players in Storm. Just look at the edge of zone, too. There's so many people watching this happen. Jaith's likely about to get held unless he can break line of sight on this whole rotate in or somehow get lucky. He doesn't have much time. Just use his last white heal, and now it's time to make this rotate in, and luckily for Jace, able to pick up another elimination and then make his way into the Storm.
Yeah, really, really great elimination there for Jaith. A very interesting decision from the opposing back into the Storm. Maybe he saw as a potential refresh inside of the Storm. He was a little bit more HP than he expected, though, and he managed to pick up that elimination. That re-entry we just saw there was absolutely splendid. Well, it was perfectly timed and absolutely perfectly executed, because that is the most crucial element at this stage of the game. If you are finding yourself wound up in the Storm, it is so crucial to make sure that you rotate and re-enter the safe zone in a correct manner. You know, making sure that you're in that area in an effective amount of time without too many people looking at you and potentially focusing you with these automatic snipers that we see Constant using, and of course the assault rifles as well. They can definitely have some very good damage output, as we see Constant rotating his way and trying to replicate the success of game number 1. Not quite having the best number 2, but he is definitely looking for a bit of success in game number 3 right here for him.
And I'd have to guess that if he's holding that sniper rifle, the auto sniper, he's looking for additional Storm Surge damage. I would assume that he ran into trouble with it last game, and that's why he's deciding to hold this, allowing himself to get extra damage from a distance. Hopefully this is that adjustment. You know, that's that difference that we were talking about before, the trades that allow you to get and change how you're playing. Speaking of, here's Edge 4. Went from an awesome position on top of a mountain now to right on side of a hill, as well as Shades hanging out right nearby.
Yeah, we talked about it. The luck of the zones, you know, I mean, that situation right there for him, for Edge, it wasn't quite to be, you know, he couldn't quite get in the center of that zone. So it was a very, very good early starting position. It allowed him to get a lot of good Storm Surge attacks, I'm sure, and he will be sort of chilling in that department for now. But I think he will have to struggle to sort of get even more if he is in a sort of a less than elevated area. The main thing about getting into this sort of area, into this sort of zone, is staying elevated. If you can stay up, not only can you see players that are rotating in, but you can also use launch pads. You can sort of recycle launch pads and see them a lot easier, as NPen is utilizing that elevation right now to see down at a fight, and it's Caesar that does go down to, is that Kezi right there, who does pick up that elimination. They're sort of fighting over that supply drop right there. It was almost an all-out brawl to see who was going to pick up the pieces of that supply drop, but NPen there nearly getting eliminated right there, having to use almost all of his mini shields, only 7 builds to his name as well. It's going to be a tough rotate.
Now, NPen trying to figure out what exactly he's going to do. Is it, hop in a car. Hit the core. No. I'd love to see that sometimes. Players, especially like moving zones, the player just finds a car, hops in, but NPen finding a player in his box. He's able to have some of these pieces here. Looking to get control, grabs the wall. Now just going to steal those metal builds and get on out.
Does get the refresh there as well. That was absolutely vital. I'm not sure if you guys saw, but it was 350 wood. That is absolutely vital for him for making this rotate. I like what he's done there. He's been a little bit more aggressive to get that refresh. An absolutely vital moment in his game because he had 8 builds going into that fight. He didn't want to take the fight, but he will certainly take all of those mats.
Hey, you'll take what you can get, especially when you're in that kind of position that he was material-wise. And now we see Websis is been in that same spot this entire time, checking in on NPen, trying to get in, using as little builds as he can, but also still trying to make sure he's safe. And Websis taking shots at him all the way up there, and that's not going to be the only one NPen has to worry about. He's needing to get behind some of these players, and does. Now he needs to find some space to be able to make a build. He's taking shots, able to get some white damage. Now Dogmilk might be in some trouble. Shots continue through, the pressure comes on. That player is getting beamed up. NPen is able to get that elimination. That'll be huge for him. He's getting in, trying to grab all the mats, but no, they're gone. NPen is in a terrible position. Was hoping to get that refresh, but that doesn't come, and he still has a couple boxes before he gets in zone.
Yeah, he does. He doesn't quite get that refresh. He wasn't quite as lucky as he did get earlier. Of course, got all of that wood, but now cannot quite find it. I'm sure he'll make his way in, but in what state? You know, he doesn't have the heals to heal himself back up to a good amount of shield. He, of course, doesn't now have those builds, so he almost has to utilize builds from other areas and other teams or other players that are nearby. We see Okus, Flute, Rampage. There's so many options for him to maybe jump in someone else's top that I think his experience in this situation will allow him to stay alive for just even the next zone at least, to see where that presents itself, and it looks as though it has already. We're seeing the 5th zone on the screen. It appears to have sort of located itself as sort of southern east side of the map. Not too many players are situated in there, and most crucially, it doesn't actually pull to one of those corrupted sort of mothership broken shards, which means that there's not going to be an ultimate high ground leading into this, which means every single player that is already situated on that will have to rotate on down. Bizik, though, picking up another great elimination. His first of the game. He's looking to add as many to that plethora of eliminations so far as he can. There's his first, though, and there's his first launch pad. If he does manage to use that effectively, he can get into zone without getting tagged, and he does. Really, really effective rotate right there. Gets in nice and early, and now that allows him to look back at other players that are rotating in, potentially using the same method as him, rotating using the launch pads, maybe even the exact same launch pad as well. If he can pick up some tags here, he's going to set himself up for success.
Definitely is set up for success, and you're setting up the box above him. He wants that metal build to have that extra security, and Websis now moving in. Gonna wind up accidentally on the high ground. I don't know that he wants it, especially with his HP. But we see the rest of the players hitting those launch pads, getting themselves in the zone, and Storm Surge not as big of a factor, but someone's getting in. That's Okus right into NPen, and he's gone, but it looks like Okus needs to be careful. Oh no, that player just backs off. He saw that happen. He saw it all go down in front of him, but decided, I might have seen who that was in the Elim feed. I'm gonna back off.
I think he might have, saw how emphatic that elimination was from Okus right there, utilizing that legendary assault rifle so effectively, getting inside the box, particularly in the end game as well. It's almost impossible to hold onto those walls and prevent people from doing so, as Okus right now sitting on 2 eliminations and sitting in a nice fully built metal box as well, which is absolutely vital for not getting sprayed in this zone. He does have a decent amount of materials as well, so he can definitely utilize those to tarp his way in to this zone, but he is going to have to try and find some sort of refresh later on down the line. Maybe that is it. It's Rampage that goes down to Okus. Another elimination for him. Wow, he really is on a rampage, isn't he?
He is, as we see Gandhi's going to make this rotation in. He's dabbing all the way into zone, and Okus was able to make his rotation to the front side of zone. He's quite weak, though. Gandhi stumbles upon a launch pad. This could be huge for him. Just base up here, look for some potential elims, get that HP back up, and then hit this launch that coincidentally is right here. He is on the dead side of zone, which is really good for him, and now going to put himself right on this front side, try and save as many materials as he can, takes a little bit of storm damage, doesn't matter because he got the elimination. Willing to trade a couple of tags, finds a player, no, does not hit the shot, grabs the wall, goes for it again, nothing connects yet. He's taking everything, but he's not hitting anything, and Isaac picking up another elimination. The feed Oak is going to get one as well, and we are down to 25 remaining players.
25 remaining players indeed. We're going to be seeing the next zone going on the screen as well. It pulls all the way back to where the players started, so it's going to be a lot of reuse of old tarps potential right here for Virus and other players. He does seem to have some peppers in his inventory as well. He already has one active, so he can sort of traverse his way through these builds. I really like this from him. He has got to be very, very careful with the fact that there could be other players' edits on his wall. He doesn't want to get edited on, and that's what he's doing right there. He's making sure that he's inside of his own box. He is chilling there. He doesn't want to take too many risks going into game number 3, the end game of game number 3 right here. We saw Harsh going down in the feed right there as well. Virus having the capability and the flexibility of having 2 floppers as well. He does, of course, have the pepper in his inventory and the extra mini shield, so he's sitting pretty up here. He's looking good, but is he going to be looking good for too much longer? Because things can change, and they can change very quickly in solos.
Now we go over to Leppy, who has the best inventory in the lobby as far as the weaponry goes. He's getting sprayed up from up above. He's going to decide to dive back into Storm. Don't know that was the play. He gets pretty lucky with the way the zone is going to pull. Leppy now pushing in through zone. Lots of builds. Gonna have to get through this. Does find a space, but no, there's somebody on the backside of him. He goes down. That's gonna be a big shot. No, Leppy gets sent back to the lobby, but while that was happening, Virus was picking up a number of eliminations, and now Mateo popping the Storm medkit. We see Kyle pogging all the way to 4 eliminations.
4 eliminations and materials to work with as well, including a flopper in his inventory too. We see Isaac getting elimination after elimination in the feed. We're seeing Mateo right there going down to him now though. Podcarl trying to get himself some connection with some shots. He can't quite get it. It's Paraz who comes out on top in that particular engagement. Das Silver Kid in the backside of zone, having to try and make something work here, make something happen, make some magic happen. Can he do it? Can he pull out his magic wand? No, he cannot. It was hocus pocus, but it wasn't indeed anything to be worrying about for that player, as the Silver Kid does manage to go down. Now though, another player trying to apply some magic of their own is Hocus Pocus Dode with 2 eliminations. Haven't quite got the materials in his inventory. Only 6 bills for him right now, but he does have some good loot. He does have enough potential to win this game, but no, he's run out of materials.
He gets cut off too, but no, finds a player on the backside, able to pick up some materials, gets the 30 builds. That will sustain him for a little longer, and I just keep seeing Botboy Kenny pop up all over the elimination feed. My man is having a game, but it now comes down to Dode versus Kenny here on the low ground. Player up above is Isaac. Isaac is going to get some damage dealt on him, and now these 3 are going wall to wall, face to face in the final moments of this game. Dode looking for an option out. He doesn't get it. He's sent back to the lobby, and now it's Isaac versus Kenny in the final 1v1.
Isaac all the way up on high ground, does have the potential to heal off using only that 1 chili chug splash. Of course, heals himself for 20 white HP. Is he going to be able to make his way in? He only has 1 build to his name though. Almost zero assault rifle ammo as well, and that is it. His final build that he has used. He has used it. He's exhausted all of his builds. He has 3 eliminations as well, so even if he doesn't quite come out on top in this game, it will still be a fantastic game for him, and I don't think he's going to be able to unless he can find this other player. Can he find him? Looking for different angles. Is he going to be able to get in the box? But no, it's Botboy Kenny right there coming out on top in game number 3.
And another great match though by Isaac. It was Kenny coming out on top, but Isaac now first and then second place, having a great back-to-back matches. That should put him up there on the leaderboard. He is doing so well. Man, anyone else stand out to you in that match besides our final 2 players?
I mean, I was very impressed by Okis. We saw Okis going for elimination after elimination in the feed. He went for those sort of like early to late game, sort of earlier on in the late game refreshes. And I think that's a really, really essential part of the game, because a lot of teams do, or a lot of players will run out of materials at that sort of stage, and running low, maybe to 100 to 200 of each build. But getting those material cans all the way back up is what can win you those games, which is absolutely vital.
It is vital, and we're going to see these players coming up in this next match, and that's going to be coming at you real soon.
Very, very exciting stuff. I can't wait to see how Game 4 unfolds, and we don't have to wait too much longer, because that is right. We're going right on into it, into game number 4. That's exactly how I like it. Right into the action, and right on into Lazy Lake. A very built-up area, very congested area usually as well, but for Shades right now, it looks as though he is contested by one other player towards the northern side.
Hey, Lazy's big enough for 2 people to split. If I'm Shades and whoever that other player is, you take your respective sides, and then you go grab a solid position. There's no need to try and figure this out between you two, at least not this early in the game. It doesn't really behoove you to try and take shots there, but speaking of, we see quite a number of players here at Misty, and this is where the fights happen.
Yeah, the Battle of Misty Meadows. A lot of players will land here. It's a nice little area to land because, of course, you do have 2 sides. You have the sort of larger side with more of a little built-up area. I think there's a couple of shops there as well. A few of these players might be going shopping on the earlier stage of this game. And then you have the sort of residential area on the other side. A slightly smaller area where players might be wanting to just put their feet up and relax a little bit before hopping on over to this crazy side, as we see Crazy Drakey on this side as well. It looks as though there's 2 or 3 players rotating on out of Misty as well. So I think this is a really, really great option for them. Going into game number 4 here, you really don't want to be taking any risks. It is not ideal to be thinking about, oh, maybe I can get an elimination here, but for Crazy Drakey, he's hopping back over towards this residential area, and I think there does appear to be another player that he is not aware of. I'm not sure he knows he's there, but I like the rotation out of here. He's thinking, okay, that's it. I've had enough. Misty Meadows is boring. I'm going to the waterfall because it looks nice.
It does look quite nice. He decided, I'm going to grab that shield and get on out. You know, there's not much more you can get after that. Now we see Pog Kyle right outside of Misty, watching a fight take place, and it looks like Pars is going to be able to take down one player. Kyle looking for some potential eliminations, but somebody else was taking shots on this. This isn't a 2-man fight. It looks like Misty was in the distance trying to get some damage done, and Pog Kyle may just be moving his... Yep, we're getting out of here. This was not where he wanted to be. Not exactly the fight that he thought he was jumping into, and it was already over by the time he got there.
Yeah, he's in a good situation anyway. I think the fact that he already has 1 elimination, he has pretty good loot as well. No assault rifle, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of players might take the SMG over it. Usually it's one of the more upgraded SMG variants, like the epic or the legendary variant. But Podcar right here going for the green SMG, which could definitely work out in his favor. But what's not working out in his favor right now is the decision to use the Shadow Cube. Oh no, he's getting beamed by one of the players that are sort of behind him, maybe from the Misty Meadows area. Wasn't quite the right play for him in hindsight. He, of course, cannot build when you are involved in those shadow cubes, so he can't build. He has a little bit of a delay when he gets out of it as well, so I like how he's just getting out of there, sort of biting the bullet almost, and thinking, okay, I've been shot a little bit, but now I've just got to get out and utilize the rotational ability of those slipstreams, as we see another little area and a little fight brewing in the Holly Hedges area. One of my favorite places on the map, alongside Retail Row. They're all battling it out here.
They are. It seems like this is now, we were halfway through. Everyone was like a little nervous, like you said early on, and now the nerves are gone. Now it's time to fight for your POI to try and lock it in. Looks like this player's trying to find the shots, does control some of the builds on this player, and now we see if the shots are going to be missed. His name says they don't miss, but we'll have to find out whether or not that's true.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, that is a very ambitious name. I hope he doesn't miss, because that would be not the best. I mean, for Azubik right here, it looks as though he is trying to keep on to this high ground. Only 13 builds to his name as well, and now he's being a little bit more aggressive. I think he understands the situation of the other player inside of that box right there. He needs those eliminations. He needs that Storm Surge as well to carry him through that end game. Is it going to happen, though? Will this other player that doesn't miss, or will he connect with some shots? There seems to be a little bit of a third-party situation as well. So for Azubik right here, this is definitely not ideal without any reserve shield to heal himself back up. This is not ideal for him at all. 2 builds left in the inventory. Now down to 1. He does have that launch pad in his inventory as well, so potential to rotate on out and maybe utilize that to get his way out of here, because I think from this situation, from our angle, this is not a fight he wants to be taking.
No, this fight's lasted way too long. He had the advantage at one point, and now that's all gone. He has the builds in here, and zone is in his favor, but at the same time, this is not where you want to be for prolonged success in this match. If you only have a couple of builds at this point, it is not going to make you last very long within this game. But now you've decided that was enough of that. You guys are taking too long. What's up, Jelly? We're going over to you, seeing how Create DC is trying to put some pressure on. Create had a great first 2 matches, kind of fell early there in the third one. Still up top, near the top of the leaderboard, and I'd expect him to do quite well once again.
Yeah, absolutely great. DC not having quite the same success in game number 3 as he did in game number 1 and 2. Ended up with 76th with 0 eliminations. Currently sat at 5th place though going into game number 4, so I'm sure he'll be very happy with that situation and that position for him. He's definitely inside of that top 10 for now as well, which is where a lot of the big cash is. Of course, 75 players in this lobby will be walking away with some cash, which is really, really great. A really great opportunity for these players and a great opportunity to really show what they're worth on this big stage. As Camarino right here looks as though he's looking for some builds, some potential to spray with that the blue assault rifle. He does of course have the ammo as well, and he has the purple charge. Now for me, gun, I'm a big fan of the charge. I think it's a great gun, and I think it's a very underrated weapon and underused by a lot of these players. I don't know about you, but I love it.
Miner, you just made a friend. Like, I am big charge guy myself. When I was playing trios, my teammates would be like, oh, we got another lever action shotgun. I'm like, no, let's go. We just got to charge. You know, people don't seem to like it, but especially in the end game, that damage at a distance is huge. I mean, what exactly do you like about it? I personally like that long range damage ability. Oh, Felix almost getting in, but what about you, Miner?
I like it. Yeah, no, I completely agree. The long-range damage ability is definitely so crucial, but I also like the sort of the scare factor that you can have. If someone's on the other side of your wall and you don't want them pressuring you too much, all you need to do is that little hissing sound. The other player might think it's a snake. There could be a snake inside of your box, but it's not. It is a charged shotgun, and it does scare the player away. The big damage output that they can do are definitely very, very scary for all of these players, and that's a really nice way that I like to use it personally. Now though, Shisti, we're seeing the mythic burst. We talked about it before, how powerful this weapon can be. Can he put it to good use in getting inside of this guy's box right here? I believe it's Yaga right there, who does appear to be on the receiving end of the aggression from Shisti, and it was Yaga right there going down in the feed. A great elimination for Shisti. Not only does he get himself a little bit of a refresh, and of course the storm surge, he does get himself a lot more ammo as well as some really nice loot there as well to pick up.
Yeah, he basically has unlimited peppers throughout the rest of this game. I mean, they last 60 seconds. That's 11 minutes worth of speed if he wants it, and we'll have to see exactly how he decides to play this out. We're tuning in with Pratt's 1X here at Weeping Woods, taking over the bridge position, but not all by himself, and he knows Hunter is hunting right on the outskirts right here. It's Pratt's v Hunter. It looks like Pratt's wants this. He's not just going to let a player sit next to him. He's going to continue to look and take builds here and then just cut Hunter's builds and space off. Need to be careful. So many more players are going to continue rotating through this way.
Yeah, they do have to be very, very careful. I think they've understood that. Both of them are sort of mutually agreeing almost to not take this engagement because it wouldn't really suit too many of them at all. They are inside of Weeping Woods, which does, of course, have plenty of those trees to utilize. You can block line of sight very, very easily with those. And Hunter right here sat in some brick. He's looking really, really good, and he doesn't want to take that engagement. We see a crow right there. Is that Hitsbuller? Yeah, taking out that crow. Not quite going to count as an elimination on the board for him, but he does eliminate the crow. And potential for some very, very solid loot there. I mean, we've seen these introduced into Season 8, and Gun, I really like how these crows have been introduced into the game because you can get some great loot from them.
Yeah, I do as well, and you often forget about him because it's not, a highlight moment, but it's a big play when you're getting one of those purple or gold weapons just seemingly falling out of the air at random. There are some kind of ideas as to how they spawn and where you can find them more often. I'll let you guys figure that one out yourself, but the crows, nice addition. Reminds me of the old seasons when the treasure chests were in the game and you would find those. You'd find the treasure map and then you'd go grab the treasure chest. Not exactly the same, but maybe something similar.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to agree. Yeah, it's the same feeling, you know. You're gonna get some good loot. You know you're gonna get some good loot, and instead of there being a chest, a little treasure chest, maybe buried in the ground, it's flying in the air. It's flying around, and it's almost sometimes landing right next to you, which is a nice little almost airdrop delivery. Speaking of airdrops, though, we're seeing Constant right there picking up an airdrop, a supply drop for himself, picking up that launch pad there, of course, as well. Sitting in a really, really nice position. For me, I'd say this is a really solid position because we know this is the less congested side of zone, as a lot of the players will be rotating through that northern side. We saw how congested the Weeping Woods area was just then, and Costin right now, he's just on the bottom side. He is above Storm Surge by a decent amount as well, so he really doesn't have to worry too much about that. So I like the position he's in, and of course he is in a really, really good position on the leaderboard as well. He had a really, really good start with a Game 1 victory. Hasn't quite been able to have the best success in the game number 2 and 3, but I like the situation he's in. He is setting himself up for success in game number 4, and so is Bizik. We know what he can do.
And it looks like Zone is going to pull there for Cost, and he's going to be able to get that. Bizik getting sprayed out for a second. He's like, bro, I'm just going to hold this, but all of a sudden starts getting sprayed up from multiple people. That's why you got to be careful building in wood in these mid games. People will quickly take some shots. That was both Josh and Sigma looking for those shots. Now Bizik going to have to figure out how this rotation is going to work. Checking on the players around him. Looking for an option, and once the guy in front of him moves, we see that teal player right on the mini-map. Then he'll go in, but hold up. Prats is going into a box right now, trying to get this player weak. This is Hunter v. Prats. We saw this earlier, and this fight's just continued through the zone.
Yeah, it has. We saw this fight brewing earlier on. We saw the potential sort of fight taking place, and now it's really come to fruition as Prats right here realizes how the difficulty of taking these fights early on, because he does get hit for a big damage shot from all around the area. You can see on the bottom right of the screen how many of those little arrows, each of which representing one player. There's so many of them. There's so many potential eyes looking on your fight. There's so many potential third parties and so many potential ways to get eliminated, which I think Prats has realized right now. He was above on the Storm Surge by a lot. I think it was about 222 I saw above, so he definitely didn't need to take that fight. He's been really good at getting those tags so far already, but I like how he's playing it a little bit more aggressive and taking some risks, because he's not in the top 10 right now, so I don't think he's having quite the best day. And I think this is what we were talking about earlier, how teams, they might switch up their strategies a little bit going into these final 3 games.
Definitely some changes going on as we're seeing those happen in real time, and now Edge4 able to find himself in the best position in the game. Seems to be his thing. We talked about it last game. He was on top of the hotel. Now once again center of third. I'd expect him to have surge damage already, so Edge4 is just going to be sitting in this box waiting. And Miner, I don't know that this is talked about a ton, but I love to bring it up. Sometimes the best thing you can do is literally nothing.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. You can literally do nothing, especially when you're in such a good position right there. He could read a book, he could watch his latest favorite TV show, he could honestly do whatever he wants, because he is in a very, very good situation. But I think the better players will use that time wisely. They'll use that time sat in their cone, ensuring that they are keeping an eye on every single player surrounding them, because who knows, that crucial little bit of information that you can gather by sitting in your cone and looking at the surrounding areas could be vital in your next rotate or your next play. Maybe you see someone that has just been beamed as they rotated in using a pad. You could pick up an easy elimination. Or maybe you see a player picking up a launch pad a little bit later on, so you can keep that in tabs. You can think, okay, that player now has a launch pad, which means that I can rotate over there and potentially use a free launch pad for myself. I can recycle it. So I think the better players, as we see Goatee right here doing, is just sort of looking in their code, making sure they're aware of everything that's around them. And, you know, maybe the players that are wanting to be a little bit more chill could read a book. But I think the looking out for other players is a better idea.
Yeah, you're probably right. Going on Twitter, checking out what's going on the Twitter feed, probably not the best to play during this event, but you never know. We've seen it before. Now we see Zone is going to pull down to the southern area, and this is typically what happens when the zone pulls into the swamps. You just continue to see these southern pulls zone after zone, and Amred's got a long way to go. Luckily, he's got a car. He's going to hit the whip and try and get on past. Bizik's going to have to do it on foot, and it looks like Amred's decided not to continue this rotate. This is confusing to me.
Yeah, well, it is an interesting decision because, of course, you could get yourself very, very far into the zone using that card, but I think a really, really good idea from him there was to actually jump out because I think he identified how many players will be looking at him. As soon as you get that front windshield broken, you are left so susceptible to getting beamed and getting sort of almost lasered with so many assault rifles, so many great players looking at you. I think that's a really, really smart decision. I think it's something that is often overlooked, is when do you jump out of a car, because you don't want to be in the situation that that player right there was just in. I think Gandhi might have picked up that elimination. No, it was DT Norge right there picking up the elimination on Booster, but that is the situation you don't want to be in. You don't want to be the focus of all of these players because, as we know, they're incredibly talented, they have incredible aim, and they will use it, and they will use it wisely.
One of those players that's quite wise is Enpen, a big veteran of the scene. I mean, still a young player. I believe he's only 19, but the fact that it seems he has been around since the beginning of the game is impressive. Still competing at a high level, Enpen, and deciding to pick up that auto sniper rifle. He actually stole, you know how we watched Prats and Hunter duel it out for what seemed like a couple of zones? Well, Enpen was the guy that was able to pick up Hunter there, and unfortunately Prats had to figure out a different way to get some HP.
Yeah, Enpen's really, really good at that. We saw that in the previous game as well, how he's able to pick up eliminations without really using too much or getting focused himself. He's really not sort of putting himself in an awkward situation to pick up an elimination. He seems to have the eliminations and some refresh to go along with it without really risking too much. And I think that's absolutely vital, and the reason why he's up in the top at the upper end of our leaderboards today is that he is really, really using that experience so well. Unfortunately for Jacob, though, not quite having the same success, but he has had a little bit of success with the zone. He has, of course, pulled the 5th zone, the half and half zone, so he can maybe get himself on a different layer, which he is able to do. Gives him so much more area to look at. He can see so many more players from that angle, and I like what he's doing. He's making sure that he can see all of those players because I'm sure, as we see so often, these launch pads are going to be coming out any second now.
They will, and you just gotta wait for your opportunity. You never know. Take a couple of shots. You never know which one's going to wind up being the last one on a player. You get a free elimination just for taking one shot. Milks is able to get 3 eliminations already, and we've used 3 different peppers thus far. Last time we checked in, he had 11. Now we're looking for some beams on players out the air. Not going to happen this time. Another one's going to be coming through if Milks is aware. Now it's time to hit the rotate himself as we're going to pop a pepper and hit a launch pad. If I'm Milks with this inventory, this loadout, I'm looking to play height. Like, this to me screams, I want height, and this is your game to try and win.
Absolutely. He's got an absolutely splendid loadout. He really has. He's got one of the best loadouts that you can possibly have at the moment. Combined with the usage of those peppers as well, if anyone does try and sort of contest him for high ground, he's more than likely going to be quicker than them. He has that speed advantage over any other player that does decide to push up. So I like that from him. Is he going to be able to hold it for this long? I don't think so. It's going to be impressive if he does. He doesn't have a harpoon in his inventory, I don't believe so. It's going to be tough for him to find those refreshes, those all-important refreshes that he's going to be able to get, but is he going to be able to get the loot that comes from them? That is going to be the main question that he's going to have to give us answers to in a few moments. Kaska, though, not having quite the best day either. Not sound on too many points. He does have some very, very good loot, though, so he can make something from this game. Has, of course, got 1 elimination to his name, and it looks as though there is a player that has gone down to very, very low white HP. He's trying to capitalize on that, trying to go for as much piece control as he can. A Farbox piece control as well, trying to get as many of these builds as he can, and it's Ubik right there who does go down to Caesar on the other side of things. Maybe he'll be able to pick up that little refresh, and Enpen has picked up another elimination.
Is able to secure another one, continuing to grab those on the way through here, and actually is able to hit a launch pad, find his rotate in. Haven't seen many players double dipping launch pads just yet. Maybe it'll come later on. Maybe people will start realizing that's the best play or a good play. We'll see. And Ben went from being front side of zone, had to waste some time, get healed up, and gonna look for his rotate here. Has the pepper, so that's a huge advantage using the wood builds. You don't want to waste those hard mats. He's running side by side with somebody. Now have to get out of that box, heal up once again, reset yourself, and we go once more.
That was crazy. A little unexpected visitor into his top right there for NPen. Not quite the situation that he would have wanted, and neither is it for Bizing right now, who does seem to be on the receiving end of some big damage shots, all the way down to 53 HP right now. There are some sort of chug barrels nearby. I don't think they've already been they've been taken, but he might be able to utilize those as sort of chug or slurp barrels to his advantage. Now that we're seeing a new player on high ground, it's Okis. As I said, I don't think the other player that was up on high could hold it out, and they definitely couldn't. It's Knack that gets taken out by Okis right there. We've seen how good this guy is at fighting. We've seen how really talented he is when it comes to fighting and engaging against other players. With loot like that, it's almost impossible not to do some high damage, and with mats like that, it's almost impossible to give up high ground here.
It is, and he is a dangerous player up on height, someone who's very knowledgeable at it. I know his trio loves to play height. They go for it multiple times in a tournament, and now Okis is holding it all by himself, beaming the player. Thank you for that. That's going to be a little support for his high ground play. Dog, watch out. Okis is not done with you. He'll come back once he realizes what's going on. And Okis now just hanging out up top. This is a really good zone for Okis, as this is pulling over some old builds. Not going to be allowing players to make their way up here, especially, it looks like, oh no, we're just slightly going through that crashed UFO. If it went right through that's almost a free win for Okis. Now he's going to use this pad, buy some time. No one's even looking up at height. He's up there with his feet up playing this video game on his couch.
He really is. He is chilling right now, but NPen trying to make a difference to that. He is trying to make sure that Okis is not going to be chilling for too much longer. He can't quite find any connections, but he can, though, on the low ground. That's Jelly going down. Connects with another 100 blue pump shot. Really, really good shot from him, picking up his 6th elimination right there as well. NPen, we've seen him pop off in so many of these end games. Can he do it again? High eliminations, high damage shots from him as well, and there it is again. Great elimination, getting inside the box. That was Dog Milk right there, who does go down to NPen, launches himself to the front side of zone, utilizing the one build that he has. He's getting in on someone else, and unfortunately, the mighty reign of NPen right there does fall, but he did a very good job.
The train derailed off the tracks, but another one's put back on. Costin rolling through this endgame once again. He seems to be so comfortable in these endgames. It's now 3 players remaining. Okis using that harpoon just to try and get a little more loot. Looks like Costin's going to take out Mandinka. That's another elimination. Costin having a huge game, but Okis says, back to the lobby for you. This is my match. A final 1v1. Okis is popping off with 10 eliminations. It's Aimred versus Okis, and Okis is going to send another one back to the lobby. That is a massive game for Okis. 11 eliminations. The victory royale. Put it all in the bag. He's taking it home.
He really is. He is taking it all home, and what a heavy bag that must be. 11 eliminations. So many placement points come from that victory royale as well. He really is proving why he is one of the finest players in this lobby, taking the high ground with enough materials as well, and really shutting down any potential third partiers or second height players that want to go up for it. He did a great job there. That was excellently done. It was amazing.
So well played. I mean, there's a reason why he's playing in the Grand Royale finals this weekend. He's no scrub himself, and Okis just cleaning up that end game. But I mean, NPen was kind of the mid-game show. He was popping off here towards the end of the match. Unfortunately, just way too many plays were being asked of him, and then it's the Okis show from here on out.
Yeah, it really was. It was the Okis show indeed. He went into that last zone, I believe, with 6 eliminations. So he managed to pick up 5 eliminations in the 9th zone alone, which is unbelievable. So many players went down to the hands of Okis and the hands of that legendary assault rifle as well. It's almost impossible not to get eliminations on high. And especially, I think the most crucial thing about his victory right there was utilizing that harpoon. We've seen failed height takes all day today, but when you have that harpoon in your inventory, it allows you to pick up some spare loot, and of course the loot and the refreshes that you get from your eliminations. Very well played.
Yeah, we see how important the harpoon is, especially when it comes to those endgame plays. And man, Okis, how much work did you really do? Well, we'll find out after this quick break and see where Okis is on the leaderboard. Welcome back, everybody. We needed to take a quick break after what we just saw Okus do to that lobby. I mean, that was a little ridiculous. I'm Somebody's Gun, joined alongside Mini Miner. And Mini, let's just go check and see what the leaderboards look like, because that was phenomenal.
It really was phenomenal, and he deserves that. He deserves a first place spot. Look at that, all the way up on top. Just below him is Bizik, only by 2 points, so it is really, really close at the top end of the leaderboard. I believe Okus was outside of the top 10 going into that previous game, but he's managed to clutch up with a massive 11 elimination victory. It was so well played, and it shot him all the way up to the leaderboard.
Yeah, have a game. I mean, you do something like that, you deserve to be up at the top, but it's not over yet. There's still, we see the rest of these players still have an opportunity. 2 more matches remaining, and that will really determine how this finalizes. One match, you know, awesome. It'll shoot you up the leaderboard, but if you can't follow through with these other 2 matches, you're as good as, you know, maybe a 10th place, I'd say.
Yeah, you can, of course, have those big pop-off games, but if your other games aren't quite up to scratch either, you won't have too much success. The teams that are going to be, or the players that are going to be popping off today and really dominating the top spots here is going to be the players that are going to be all the way through consistency. That is going to be the key. Consistency is absolutely vital. So we're hopping in straight with our first place player into game number 5. It's Okus, it's Boney Burbs, and it's going to be interesting.
It is going to be interesting, and now we can see why he was able to get so many eliminations. You land at the center of the map, you're going to be getting so much information, if not a bunch of elims to start off with. And Miner, I want to say that this was more contested early on. I mean, we've seen this a couple of times, and Boney had multiple different players in it, and whatever Okus has done, maybe he just earned the respect of everyone around him. They've decided, nah, we're going to move on out of here.
Yeah, I think I would too, to be honest, if I was contesting Okus. I thought, you know what? Yeah, let's just get out of there. Let's go far. Maybe let's go to Catty or something. Let's go as far away from this person as possible, because as we have seen, he's got 11 eliminations in that previous game. He's got the number 11 on his back. He knows what's up. He is a fine player. He knows exactly how to get those eliminations and, of course, convert that into a victory royale as well. We saw NPen in the previous game. Is that another launchpad? Oh my gosh. He has picked up another launchpad there, but we saw NPen in that previous game picking up lots of eliminations, but not quite being able to balance that out with the placement, and that is what's absolutely vital for him. Now though, our second place player, it's Bizik. I think he's contested by 2 other players as well, so gonna be an interesting fight for him.
It really is the first time that we've seen multiple players here with Bizik. He's pretty quickly taking care of business when he needed to off spawn, but now it's almost a 2-man race. Oh, as Foxman's going at it, he takes that one down. Welcome to the board, Foxman. We'll take that. And, going back to Bizik versus Okus. Those 2 are at the top of the leaderboard. Okus has 91 points. Bizik has 89. The next closest is 78. So those 2 are starting to pull away from the rest of the pack, and we'll see if anyone can dethrone them. Kinney is the one in 30. He's picking up this elimination early. We see right there in the feed. So maybe it's time for him to pop off and have a huge match.
Yeah, as we saw earlier with the scoring system, it definitely does favor some big pop-off games. So if you are a little bit lower down on this leaderboard at this current stage, it definitely is not game over. Even for, you know, Bizik and Okus, who may think that they're a little bit higher up and they can chill a little bit here, they definitely cannot. This scoring system does, you know, it gives you an extra point for eliminations. It does offer you that flexibility. If you are a little bit lower down on the leaderboard, you can clutch up. As we see Smarty right here, who definitely is in a respectable position himself. He definitely is not doing too bad either. He's going into this game in 8th place so far, so definitely enough of a potential in him to clutch up in one of the games and get a victory royale, because he had a really, really solid start to the day today. He had a 7th and then a 2nd, but hasn't quite been able to replicate that success in game number 3 and 4. Joskiller right now, though, getting involved in a little bit of an early game engagement, has got that lever action shotgun, can't quite find some shots with it, but now he does. Running out of materials though, as he does, and now though this The slipstream is going to become involved. It's going to be a little bit of an unexpected situation for Joskiller as he does try and close out this fight. He needs to do it quickly, though, because this is a central area in the map where a lot of teams will be rotating through. So if he can clutch up this elimination, that's going to be what's absolutely vital for him. He needs a big shot with that lever shotgun. He needs to get closer because this shotgun does all its damage in that closer range. Can he connect? He can, but not by much. Joskiller still on the front foot, trying to find this elimination, trying to close out this fight. He misses, though. A crucial shot for him right there to hit, and he doesn't quite connect. He's now backing up, though. Can he close out this engagement, or is it going to be flipped? They have about the same HP, and Joskiller does have the heals to heal himself back up, and now he has 3 builds to his name. Is he going to be able to close out this fight? I think he might be able to, you know. It's going to be close.
Seems to be the one in control now that he gets a couple of elims, gets back in his builds, hits one more shot. Not enough yet. We're just tapping away at this HP. It's going nowhere. This is one of those tough battles with both players nervous off spawn. Neither one really in a good position. Josh is trying to hit the med kit, but no. A third party comes in, and now Josh is trying to remain alive. Flop is in the outskirts here, Miner, and this has got to be it. They're wall to wall right now.
This has got to be it. We mentioned it earlier about these third parties, especially in the central area in the map. He's in a difficult situation. No builds now again to his name. It looks like this other player does have some builds to his name, so he can play a little bit more aggressively if he does want to. Joskiller right now, that only has, well, 2 HP. He's going to have to pop a medkit. 1 build now as well. Flip is having to pop one as well. Oh dear, a little bit of moment of respite, but I'm sure this action will kick back up again in the second.
Oh my goodness. Talk about a shambles fight. These two have just been going at it for so long with literally nothing. I mean, we see both their inventories. There's nothing for these players. Josh hits a shot. Not going to be enough. No mats. Who hits the next one? It is Josh. Flip. 180 back to the lobby.
Very well done right there from Joss. He did very, very well to pick up that elimination. He was very, very patient. They both were very patient, almost too patient, which led to their elimination almost from another third party, but they managed to close out that fight eventually. It almost took months to finish that fight. I think we're already at Christmas by the time they finished it, but they did eventually finish it, and it looks as though Joss came out on top. Very effectively done from him. But now, though, we're hopping on board all the way up to the stealthy stronghold area. Haven't seen too much action from here yet, but we have seen plenty of action from NPen in the late game. We get a little insight into what he's doing in the early game to get all those eliminations and make it to the late game. We haven't seen him convert those too much into too high of a placement yet. I think he's got he's had 1 or 2 top 10s. Yeah, he's had a 5th and a 6th so far, but not into that top 3 yet. So this is a crucial game for him to really clutch up. He was in 5th going into this game, so still has 2 opportunities to make his way up into that top 3 or top 2, because there's a lot of big names that are fighting it out of the top right now.
Definitely are, and he's close. You know, say both Isaac and Okus fall early. That gives plenty of opportunity for NPen to jump back up. And speaking of, Okus is in a mid-game fight here. This could be it. We never know how these fights turn out, especially in solos. Could very easily swing against Okus, and he wants nothing to do with this. So if I'm him, I'm seeing this loadout. I do not want to be fighting right now.
Yeah, he does not want to be fighting at all. He does have a very, very solid loadout, as you mentioned, so this will be able to allow him to have a really, really solid end game if he does make it there. You know, this is a situation where we see a lot of teams boxing up around the risky reels area. Someone looks as though they already have claimed the sort of billboard area where a lot of teams will rotate up to there because you can't break it down. It is impossible to get broken down when you are up there. Of course, so Exposed right there is looking pretty chilling all the way up there, but Okus, likewise, he's sat inside of his cone, making sure that he can utilize as much of his viewing ability as possible, trying to look out as far as he can to see if there's any potential for Storm Surge tags. Looking at him right now, 0 eliminations. He is contested off spawn, but I don't think he's been able to pick up those tags yet, and he'll easily be able to do that with that assault rifle, just like Ritix here, who's in a very similar position.
He is someone who's not in a good spot, though, is going to be Felix, who's trying to build himself out, get himself some space between him and his opponent to pop some heals. Streak Nasty isn't going to give him much time. He's getting right back in. Felix shuts the door with some builds, and now he's going to have time to pop those small shield potions. We'll see if he's able to get any more than that. He has the bandies right there, and I guess Streak has decided, all right, that's enough for me. I did my damage. Felix, you go on your way, I'll go on mine, and I think Felix is more than happy with that agreement. These guys, unfortunately, took a lot of time here, and Felix wants those builds back, to be honest.
Yeah, he really does, and he's sort of in that sort of central area of the zone as well, so he doesn't want to be taking too many of these fights. A lot of teams will be looking around and trying to figure out what's going on here, maybe trying to figure out if they can pick up a little bit of an engagement here, a little bit of a third party, of course, as well for this player, and plenty of teams around as well, as we're continuing to see this game number 5 taking place. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top. Will it be Okis? Will it be Bizik? Or will it be a new name that could be coming out on top here?
I'd expect someone new is going to be able to grab this victory royale. Whether or not they wind up on top of the leaderboard, I don't know about that one. Now someone we should be watching out for is Costin, having another solid match after a couple of okay matches in games 2 and 3. Game 4 having a solid bounce back. Now he's looking to get some tags and move on out of here. Man, this is, to be honest with you, this is one of my favorite outfits. The Dynamo skin is an oldie, but probably one of the best.
Yeah, I really like it. It's one of my favorites. Skins.
Ooh, Rat's going at it.
Back. Pratt is now going. Pratt is going at it right now as he is going for the elimination on this opposing player. I think he's running on that medium ammo though, so he's going to try and have to go for this refresh if he can. And he does. He manages to pick up that refresh, absolutely vital for him. He doesn't have those eliminations though again, so he really is going to have to clutch up with some of those. He does have a very, very solid loadout as we're seeing on the screen. He has, of course, got those spare shields, of course, as well. So very, very effectively done from him so far. But he's in and around this sort of corny box area. So many different third parties looking around, and it's going to be tough for him to make something from this.
This is a really difficult position to take a fight in, especially if it doesn't occur quickly. You know, when those fights continue, it turns into issues where everyone's just gonna peek, everyone wants to get involved, and you're letting them know, you're lighting off fireworks with your weapons almost just like a flare, like, hey guys, hey, we're fighting over here, yo, hey, take some shots, it's free. And that's exactly what happens in these mid-game fights. So now we see Npen, one of the players that could dethrone our top 2 in this match, playing it quite safely and making sure he's not having players rotate with vehicles nearby. Oh, more shots coming through. Npen, okay, I see you. That's why we're picking up this weapon. Now we see Npen taking a little time figuring out what exactly is going on. He's been one of the more passive players that has really done well within this tournament. He finds his moments. Miner talked about it multiple different times today, how he's that guy that's like getting that last shot. He's getting that last opportunity, and that's putting yourself in the right position, but also being knowledgeable as far as what's going on around you. It is extremely important to be able to know where other players are and understand the situations that they're in, right? If a player has been tagged up rotating, you can easily take advantage of that, but you don't necessarily need to jump on the first shot. Sometimes waiting a second is going to be your best play. You wait for the opportunities for the big shots, not just the first shot. That's sometimes where you go wrong. You take one tag instead of taking multiple. That could potentially lead to an elim. And now we see Create DC here. Had some struggles as of recently. He started off really hot, and then now is just running into some issues here in the mid game. And this has got to be the best loadout that we've seen though in a little bit. Not running into Storm Surge issues, at least here in 70 Surge. We'll find out whether or not that becomes an issue. We do see some players are getting taken by Surge. DNG UAS having trouble himself, and honestly not making much of an effort to go and get some tags. Podkyle's looking for it, but he doesn't have to do anything. He's above Surge. The player that's going to have to make some plays, or the players that's down below. There's 4 of them still. We see Mandinka is going to go down. That's going to be 1 player out of the lobby. That'll help everyone else. Renegade Ranster goes down. And now still 2 players getting ticked by Surge. What you doing, Mac? You're gone. And Pod Kyle, what you doing, man? Oh, we're stopping for some mushrooms. All right, everyone, take a break, and let's see what's going on with this full lobby.
Yep, he's really enjoying himself right there. Getting those mushrooms, of course, as well. Those healer items are so useful, of course, be able to get those into the end game, you know, stacking them up as well. It's really underrated. I feel like I don't see too many players utilizing those mushrooms too well. You can get them from the sort of sludgy swamp area, and of course from those little moms boxes as well. So that's really from them. As now Jace, though, goes down in the storm. Is Aim Red right there, who does manage to pick up that elimination onto Jace, as now he's got to rotate his way and utilizing that launch pad really early on as well. I think he's identified the fact that he wants to get in early. He cannot leave it too late, and I think he's done a great job there.
Man, I gotta feel bad for Jace. That is at least the 3rd time we've seen him fighting in Storm. And maybe it's something that we can point back at him and say it's his fault, but the last couple of times it hasn't been exactly his fault. So I don't know. Maybe someone is playing the wrong way. Maybe he's having some difficult rotates. Who knows? We do see how this lobby's playing out. A nice little spread. It's like a charcuterie board. We got a little bit of everything here as these players making the rotate through. And Okus is taken out. He goes down early. So instead of having another great match, he's going down. And there's going to be an opportunity for somebody to make a big play. One of those people is going to be Kinney, as well as NPen and Visek are all right there. This is a little nerve-wracking for Okus.
Yeah, definitely a little nerve-wracking indeed. Of course, when you're up on top, you really don't want to be taking too many risks, and when you're on the receiving end of some damage right there, it's going to be very, very tough for him to really clutch up and make sure that he can stay on top throughout the whole of this day. You know, he wants to make sure that he's having a solid finish, because if you don't have that solid of finish, you really are going to be struggling. He's got to be careful with how he rotates this and how he can effectively make his way into this endgame, because that is not ideal for him. Visek, though, standing inside of this box, just outside of Steamy Stacks, it looks as though he is rotating through right now. He's taking his stance. He's decided, okay, I'm going to be rotating all the way south here from Steamy Stacks, and I think he's going to be able to do it unscathed as well. He's looking good. He's able to rotate on in and utilize that experience from today.
He's on the dead side of this zone, and should be able to walk in, which for most players, walking into fourth zone is not a possibility. Bizek's going to be able to grab it right here and put himself in a good position. Almost play for height on this side of zone. It's something that we see more often in trios, but after getting sprayed up a little bit, Bizek's going to decide, nah, it's not worth it. I'll cover up. I'll play coned. I'll play covered. You guys do your thing, and I'll just chill right here.
Yeah, he's just chilling right there, and he's managed to make himself into the zone in a really good state as well. He's able to have those materials to not only just build in late game, but of course he can fend off from any fire from other players as well. He's in a good situation, in a good position, but if there is a little bit of a difficulty with him with getting sprayed, he might have to utilize some of those builds a little bit earlier on than he would have liked. So I like that. I like that he's doing that. He's doing very well. As an NPen right here, not picking up any eliminations as of yet. We've seen him pick up those a lot more later on in the game, but I like what he's done. He's already got a lot of Storm Surge tags as well. 177 above the damage threshold, which is really good from him so far. And I think he's doing a great job of really holding this area out. He's looking for those players that could be getting beamed and could be a free elimination, which he is just about doing. And I think he's done a great job of that so far. He's really picked off the fights that he needs to do and needs to take and really capitalize on those refreshes.
Yeah, there's a player running around above him, and NPen's just trying to figure out where to find him. Unable to connect for this moment. Now we tune back in with Aim Red, looking for another potential elim on a player held out on the edge of zone. Nothing going to come through yet. Aim Red just taking shots, but he hasn't been able to connect on any of those. Nothing crazy thus far, but now that player has to rotate in. He wasn't in zone yet. Aim Red putting pressure on, trying to find that last shot. Maybe not. He's not NPen. Not able to get that, but we are on the wall. Aim Red taking shots. There's the shotgun blast that goes through. Aim Red quickly decides, oh, that is not worth it. I don't care how much loot there is.
Yeah, I think that's very, very smart from him. He's really going for that a little bit more patiently. He has got to get all that piece control on there. No, it has gone down. It's Leppy that takes him out. So his game is going to be over. He's going to have to clutch it up in the final game. And so I think his back wall was open. It was Bog who does get inside of his box and manage that edit. I think he must have had that ball. And so when he have that lead pump shotgun, he ready situation.
He is, and now we'll see the rotates start coming through. This is one of my favorite parts. You just see a mass of players flying through the air, trying to get their best spot in zone. Not everyone looking back, though. Everyone trying to find their fifth zone positioning. For Boxo, that's going to be right next to Bucky right there, and he's found a pretty good spot. Now we check in with Edge4, who has an elimination onto Alpha. Now he's going to hit some heals and then pop onto this launch pad, put himself into zone. Edge4 having a pretty good day. I mean, if this is any other player, I'm saying he's having a solid performance. For Edge4, expectations were pretty high, so not necessarily where he wants to be. Still 2 opportunities left, 2 games left, not the best position. But he's a player that can do it all. He can find that opportunity and put himself in a really good spot. Now we see what zone is looking at. Float holding height on one end. He's going to be forced out of that box. Oh, nope, he just gets the corner of that. Scav up on high ground as well. And here's Bizek. Now he has tied Okus with 91 points. We have a shared leader at the moment. Bizek, 1 more point. He has sole possession of first place. Should easily be able to do that, especially with the loadout that he has. The launch pads will help him along the way. And it's just a matter of how long can you stay alive? How long can you navigate through these zones? It helps when players come right up to your box and give you shots like that. Unable to get the eliminations, but you've seen Bizek. He'll look for those. He'll get more of those. Oh, he's getting in. He finds a player. There's a refresh right in front of him. That player's stuck in between 2. Boxo doesn't see what's going on right behind him. And unfortunately for Bizek, he doesn't get the accidental assist, which could have given him a free elimination. Now Bizek needs to look for a play here. Doesn't use the launch pad. Potentially saving it. He is on low ground, so not exactly the best place to pad from. And these are the kind of cheap targets that I was talking about earlier. When you're just rotating through using barely any builds, and Bizek did that so well, able to save so many materials. Now we see Float Road and Pars going for the high ground. Scav has given that up. That is no longer his position. Kinney also has a potential to take first place. Bizek gets an elimination there onto Jelly, and Kinney has one himself. He has the chili chug splashes. That'll keep him flowing through this end game. He's looking for his path, finds one. Saving materials that he desperately needs, uses his own builds. And then now able to get back into an old tarp of his. This is huge. Spends only a couple of mats to keep himself protected. Now able to use all of this position to look back on the zone, potentially finding what's going on behind him. Now we see Zone pulling back down this hill through these old builds. This is a tough rotate. Float down, back to the lobby. He's rotated in and out. It's Scav up on the high ground. He gets a nice little refresh. Scav able to take it. But no, Pars is coming back for it. This high ground play has gone for so long. Scav gives it up. He says, it ain't worth it for me. I'll let you continue to play that high ground. I have these cabbages that'll help me get at least a top 5 in this situation. Doesn't want to overspend. He also has the weaponry to back up what's going on. Now we see Scav rotating back on through. This is one of those zones that just bounce back and forth. Really good if you're one of the players scooting down on low. Very difficult to get eliminations for the high ground team. Scav's looking to drop out the player above him. It looks like he does. That's going to be a nice drop. Pars is quite weak. Scav doesn't get any damage, though. He doesn't realize how weak the player is above him. And now Scav just continuing to relax. Chima is in this mid game, finding a position here, and he's going to go for the medkit play.
He is. He's looking at going for this medkit play right now. 9 players do remain, so that is absolutely fantastic for him. Looking very, very good. think he's in a good situation all the way up on high ground. He does, of course, have that legendary pump shotgun as well, so looking very, very good on the loot side of things as well. He does, of course, have that epic assault rifle as well, so he's going to be able to rain down some fire, which he does, doing that very, very well all the way up on the high ground. He has... Can he do it? That's going to be what's most vital for him. Is he going to be able to clutch up and pick up another elimination, more refresh, more elimination points as well? There's 5 people left. This is getting very exciting.
It is, and it looks like Kinney has been able to snag first place. So using just a few builds, being able to pick up a few eliminations, and then it's him. It's actually him versus Isaac on the wall right there. Kinney's going to come out on top. Oh no, that's Boxo. Sorry, misread that. That's Isaac down below. Kinney is looking back. He's going to be able to get some shots there. That could be another potential elimination. We see the 2 fighting up for height up above. Is Isaac going to be able to get in? This is now first and second place, staring at one another in the final zones. Someone jumps right on Kinney. He has 5 builds left. Oh, Isaac cleans them up. Now Isaac able to take the lead, and these players are going back and forth.
They are. It's now going all the way to a heal-off play as Chima right there does manage to get those heals off. It goes down to Bizet going down in the storm. He has got those cabbages. He's eating the cabbages, and he's going to eat himself that victory royale as well. Fantastic play right there. It was the heal-off that did it. It was the cabbages. It was the vegetables that came out in top in game number 5.
Hey, it's the first time we really saw any kind of heal-off. Like, a lot of these games have been ending towards the middle of... or even in the beginning of 9th zone. So now the game's going a little slower as we continue through. That was quite the impressive one. Isaac and Kinney popping their way up. They're going to be somewhere on top of the leaderboard. That was quite the performance.
Yeah, that really was quite the performance indeed, particularly from Bizek here as well, who managed to pick up elimination after elimination. We've seen him do it so many times, picking up so many eliminations in that end game right there, but he didn't quite manage to get that victory royale. Of course, getting a 3rd place for him is going to be really, really good. It's going to keep him up on top of that top spot for a little bit longer. I think he might have just overtaken Okis as well, so of course it might be an interesting way to see that leaderboard. I'm excited to see what happens on the top end of that leaderboard, and even people that are going to be pushing for that top 10.
All right, well, Miner, I got you. I'll go crunch the numbers, but let me do that. We'll take a quick break, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Hello, everybody. And if you're just joining us, we have one more match left. You missed a lot of awesome action. It is Somebody's Gun alongside Mini Miner. And Miner, it has been such a back and forth all day between these top players.
It really has been a back and forth indeed, and we're seeing a big back and forth going on the top end of the leaderboard. Look at that, we have a new king of the castle. It's Bizik all the way up on top, having a really solid third place with 4 eliminations right there in game number 5. That really shoots him up to the top of the leaderboard. Okis, though, not having quite the same success. He hasn't quite been able to replicate his success in game number in his game number 4. So really solid stuff from him, but not quite solid enough. As we scroll on down the rest of the leaderboard, so many great players. Smarty not having quite the success he had earlier on either. It's going to be an exciting finish with one more game to go.
It will be an exciting finish, and unfortunately a lot of those players 11 through 13, we saw them drop. They started off at the top of our leaderboard, and hey, one game, I mean, there's plenty of opportunity left. Pop off like quick little 8, 9, 10, 12, 40 elimination game, and you easily got first place.
Easily, exactly. Just eliminate the whole lobby. It's as simple as that. Eliminate the whole lobby, come out on top, and you will be in first place. But no, it's not going to be that simple. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be exciting because it is the final game. It's the ultimate moment for all of these players. Who is going to come out on top? Who's going to be able to balance those eliminations with placement? We're about to find out. We're hopping right on board with our first place player. It's our king of the castle. It's Bizik. Let's see how he does off spawn.
And we want to keep in touch with these top players, see exactly how their game goes, because right now there's about 3, maybe 4 players who have a shot at that top spot. But it all depends on Bizik. If he doesn't go down early, if he makes it to the final zone, he shut the door. There's no opportunity left for that first place. But if he does go down early, Kinney, Okis, Costin may all have a potential to grab a couple of spots above him, and honestly, man, that's the difference between a couple $1,000s.
Yeah, it really is, especially at the upper end of that leaderboard. It really does rank up. We get so many opportunities to win some cash for these players, and this is a big one right here. Going into the final game, it's all about who has the wit, who has the nerve to be able to clutch up in the final moments here. It is going to be exciting, and I'm sure it's going to be intense for all of these players. How do you feel like? I mean, how would you even process going into a final game like this, particularly if you are at the top end of the leaderboard? How would you even go into this game? How would you approach this game, Gun?
All right, so let's clarify. One, it hasn't happened yet, so maybe not the best person to ask. But we'll humor and go through the response, right?
Of course.
You got to keep doing what you're doing. It's worked thus far. You can't be changing it up. The one thing that I would be careful about is that off spawn. We see Okis still going to his same spot off spawn. Bizik also going to the same drop spot. If there's one game where you want to switch it up off spawn, it's going to be that last match, because you never know what people are going to do in these final matches.
You really don't. And often in these final games, for those teams that do need a bit more of a big pop-off game, we will be seeing a lot more people going for those early to mid-game engagements. They'll be going for those eliminations, and I think that's what we're going to be seeing from all of these players. We're going to be interesting to see who does take the stride and go for those eliminations. Mac right here looks as though he is one of those that is going to try and be on the front foot. Only has 5 builds to his name right now, though, but is able to connect with so many shots. Great piece control, and wow. Yerful had no chance right there, and Mac is making his name known with a few emotes as well to close things out.
Oh man, hey, if you're only getting a couple of points, you got to celebrate when you do get them, right?
That's absolutely right. Yeah,
we're tuning in with message number 637. For my phone, message number 637 is okay, see you soon. Don't know exactly what message we're speaking of, but clearly, he's looking to send a message, and I'm going to disengage and walk on out of this fight.
Yeah, not a bad idea at all for this player. I think there is, we've seen it so often today where so many players will rotate into that risky reels area because it is such a dangerous area to be involved. There's so many players. It's such a central area of the map. So many of those players will rotate over to that area and end up getting in these mid-game engagements. You really don't want to be sort of getting stuck in with all of those fights because you're less than likely to come out on top if you are there earlier on. Right now, though, we got Twitch Yago on the Catty corner area. So a little area area that you've definitely talked highly of before, Gun. I know it's a very solid location. He hasn't got any peppers though. We talked about how crucial those are at the Catty Corner area. How's he going to play this?
I don't know. It looks like we're getting on out of here, and multiple players landing Catty. So Yago gonna decide not worth it. Now Virus trying to make a play and stay alive himself. He's getting pressured. Gonna move on out, play under the bridge. This is a good and bad spot. If you can control your builds, it's awesome. If you can't hold your builds, you're in a really bad position. And Felix is someone who definitely knows how to push one of these fights, but looks like Felix has decided that's not gonna be one that he wants. He's gotten his damage done. Virus is going under that bridge, which is an awkward position, and Felix like, all right, bro, I'm out. This is not worth it for me.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's what we're going to be seeing a lot of these teams do, a lot of these players do, because of course it is the final moment. This is the final opportunity to get as many points as possible, and as we saw earlier, the placement points are definitely very, very valuable. So a lot of these players will maybe try and go for those and guarantee a nice high placement without having to go for those eliminations as well. I think that's absolutely vital for them. As we see the map right here, we see the sort of distribution of so many of the players. There are a lot of players already situated in zone, but we're looking at areas like Misty Meadows. You see so many little arrows around there, each of those representing one player, of course, and there's so many potential third parties in the area that it's going to be really, really difficult for any of those teams to rotate on in. Rampage right now, though, on a little bit of an engagement with Jacob, who does seem to be on the receiving end of some shots from Rampage, nearly getting eliminated to full damage, but he saves himself with some well-placed builds, and I think what's not too well-placed at the moment is Jacob all the way up on top. He does seem to get down, though, and that is vital for him as Rampage goes inside of the box, gets the SMG connection shots, and those shots are absolutely vital. He gets the elimination there as well. Well done.
We'll see if this trend continues, but this game looks to be the most aggressive that we've seen thus far. Already 15 players eliminated very early on, basically before first zone even starts closing. And elims continue to come through the feed. It's a combination of things. You know, you're starting to feel yourself. Maybe you know you need a big game in order to come back, so you play a little more aggressive, or circumstance. People are changing things up, right? That last game, they're trying to make something happen and make a different play, run into a player that was doing something similar.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we're going to see. We're going to see a lot of teams that do need those eliminations go for them, just like Renegade right here, who is, of course, wearing the Renegade Raider skin, but not for much longer as he does get taken out. That's Costly right there, who is on the upper hand of that fight. Really, really well played from him. He was down to 7 HP in that engagement as well, so really well done for him. He buys himself extra time in this final lobby, the final opportunity for him to clutch up. But for Message right here, unfortunately, I had a little look. At where Message was positioned on the leaderboard. He's at the bottom for me. He's all the way down the bottom. He hasn't quite had the best day, and that's unfortunately showing right here as there's so many players in this sort of risky reels area. He's trying to make something happen, though. As we saw, top 75 does net you some cash, so if he can try and make his way into that top 75, that's going to be absolutely vital. Felix, though, on the other side of the wall, connects with a great shot with that blue pump. Can he close out this engagement? He's on the front foot. He's definitely showing signs of being able to, but he hasn't got the heals to heal himself back. He's only 49 HP. This is going to be a very tough fight for him to take.
Felix is another player being quite aggressive. We saw him fighting Virus earlier on. Now once again in an engagement here, a Message. Message isn't going to do much. Just sit here. He can't really do much. He's got no heals, very little materials. Simply at the will of other players. And it all depends if Felix continues to push in. Felix is putting some pressure on. Knows Message is quite weak. He just needs to get that one final wall on him. Message quickly backs out, gives himself some more space, and Felix does the same.
Felix does the same indeed, and I really like that from Felix there. He did, of course, connect with some sort of body shot damage shots right there, as Message does fall eventually to Jai right there, but he does connect with some shots, but he doesn't get too greedy with that elimination either. And oh no, Solo Grands looks as though he has gone down. His old man Doinks, who does take him out. A really, really crucial elimination, just the top side of the map, the very utmost northern side by the Steamy Stacks area. Really, really great elimination for him, and it looks as though he is opting to take that lever action shotgun over a charge. Maybe he hasn't found any of those nuts and bolts yet, but I know you would too, Gun. I'd be crafting that straight into a charge if I had one of those.
Oh, 100%. But you know, he does what he does. Everyone has that preference. I love when there's some shotgun changes and multiple different shotguns that are viable. I really like it this season where you have the pump, the lever, and the charge. Literally all of them are usable, and it's more a matter of preference. 9 times out of 10, you're taking the pump if it's the same variant, but you never know. I sacrifice and take the better shotgun, or don't tell my teammates the worst shotgun, which is the charge.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And it looks as though NPen right here is rotating his way, and he hasn't quite been able to have the same success that we've seen from him in previous events. So I think he'd be able to clutch up right here, though. He has got a decent amount of points. I think that's mainly down to his ability to pick up so many great eliminations. You know, let's not beat around the bush here. He is still in that top 5. But I think with a player of NPen's potential, you really would love to see him at the top end of the leaderboard, which he isn't. I mean, he's up there, but he's not sort of battling out with Bizik all the way up on top. He can still do it, though. He can definitely still do it. He can definitely get into that top 3 at least if he does have a really good game here, and he is set up for success. He has a lot of good loot, plenty of mats as well. Of course, does have that legendary assault rifle as well. He's looking really good. And just like Costin right here, they're all just farming up, making sure they have enough loot to go into this endgame.
And we've seen Costin in the same position, I think, 3 different games. He doesn't land at this area. He lands at the very far south of the map, but seems to almost always rotate through this IO base here in the central mountains. And hey, it's worked for him thus far. You have 77 points. That's more than the majority of the lobby can say. Now it's time for him to lock in, clutch up, and take home a few extra bucks because of this last game.
Yeah, this is really the turning point for Constant right here. We saw him have a very, very good start, of course, in game number 1, but hasn't quite been able to replicate that in his in the rest of his games. He is, of course, sat in 4th place, though, going into this, so definitely not a bad situation to be in at all, and sat on the exact same number of points as NPen. So that's almost a little battle we have going on. Not even just the top spot, but it is also for that 3rd, maybe 4th spot as well. As we see Young Jelly, looks as though he is above the Storm Surge. It did go down for a little bit, but now he is above. Look at that. A little find right there out in the middle of the orchard. It's a little med kit. Really nice find for him right there because he is low on the white HP and now low on the shield as well. Down to 23 shield. If he can get this med kit off, that's going to be absolutely vital for him, as I think he is going to be able to, as the med kits are a slightly more silent way of healing. You know, a lot of players won't hear this and they won't sort of go for his box or anything. I like the way that he's playing that now, though. Aim red, rotating his way and utilizing the car, and that is the danger of rotating using a vehicle. You can get focused by so many players, and that's the danger as we see another battle brewing just by a vehicle, and I think that might be a similar situation where they're fighting over this rotate as Milks gets a great shot off, but unfortunately does fall to Lyrisan.
Yeah, Lyrisan able to pick that one up, and unfortunate for Milkshake, that's the end of his tournament. We've seen some good moments from him. Yago getting eliminated as well, and looks like Sorry Bad Push is trying to grab whatever was left there. This might be a bad push for himself. Wenzel looking for some shots, more SMG spray coming through, and this poor player just getting focused by the lobby.
He really is, and when Joey right here does have that mythic burst assault rifle, we talked about his powers earlier on in the game, and when he does have that, it can really be used to his advantage. 3 eliminations though for Joey so far, really impressive stuff, and interestingly enough, he has dropped his shotgun. I'm not sure if he intended on doing that. Maybe he's going for the full spray way of playing. I like that, if so, because it's showing a little bit of a difference in strategies. We don't see that too often. Maybe some players opting for different ideas, but completely reshaping the way that the loot is sort of distributed and the way that they're taking it is going to be really interesting if he does continue to use that. Now, though, we're seeing Prats, no stranger to some fighting today, some mid-game engagements. He's been more than confident to take those, and I think he's done really well at that so far, but he hasn't quite been able to translate that into a high enough placement at the moment. He's doing pretty good, though. He's on the edge of zone. His ammo count not looking too good. His material count looking very good, though, and he's got to make something happen here.
He's just waiting, being patient. Knows that he doesn't have to do too much at the moment. Pratt's taking a peek what's going on around him, and we tune in with our number 1 player, Bizik, right near Craggy. Has to make a rotate here soon. Gonna go for the left foot, right foot option. He does have a car if he wants it, but deciding not to use it. We've seen him make that choice a couple of times, and while I was chatting there, NPen picked up an elimination on the feed, so he's probably one up on Costin at the moment. Those two going back and forth for that third place spot unless something drastic here happens.
Yeah, they really are. Almost a little sub-battle going on in that area now that we're back on board with Daddy P. Don't miss, a player that looks as though he's definitely hit some good shots so far. He's picked up an elimination, so maybe his name is definitely living up to his nature right now, as he does have one elimination, but his leaderboard status is not looking too good right now. Looks like he's only on 34 points, which is not ideal. He's definitely not all the way down there. He may even just be in that top 50. I think he is just inside of that top 50. So he definitely could be mounting an attack on that, maybe that top 20 position, which is going to be absolutely vital for him. No, he's going to be going for a little bit of an elimination. He's not going to be playing it out for placement too much, as he does go down to that white HP, connects with a fantastic shot and some fantastic assault rifle shots. That closes out the fight for Daddy P. Don't miss. And right there, he really didn't miss.
Yeah, the engagement started from the top down. Jock Crispy jumping in, going straight at him, and he didn't miss. Oh, those AR shots, clean him up. Now we tune in with Okus. A few points behind Bizek. Got some work to do if he wants to catch up. But right now, that's not necessarily the play. Bot Boy Kinney also looking to take that top spot here, but both Okus and Kinney really need to make something happen towards the end of this game, or just cross their fingers and hope somebody takes out Bizek, because without some help, you're really not going to be able to move up the leaderboard here. Kinney might be looking for some shots on Daddy P. Now we're going to let him hang out below. I like that. No need to make enemies.
Yeah, that's good to see. I think that's absolutely vital, because he does need those placement points, Kinney. Of course, he needs to combine it with eliminations to get any chance of overtaking Bizek up on the top spot, but he is playing it very, very patiently. He knows it's almost it's almost easy to really just snap at opportunities in solos and really just sort of really not be that patient. You know, you really want to keep that patience going into these games, and if you do lose that patience, it can definitely lead to your elimination and falling down on that leaderboard, which I like, though. I like that from Kinney. He's definitely playing it a little bit more patiently, and look at this zone. Look at the way this zone has positioned itself all the way up on that hill. You're going to have a really, really solid position. It's such a big hill, and there's so many different areas around the hill that you can sort of rotate to as well. Anyone on top of there right now will be sitting pretty. They won't get the fifth zone, of course, as we know it does pole to one of the edges, but it is a really good position to be in, and it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of these zones play out.
It doesn't look like too many people are here on Costin's side. We see, actually Scav is the only one on this side. Mandinka is going to be below the hill. Websis is a little further back. So the players to the south are actually in a good position. Unfortunately for everyone up north, that is so congested, that side of the hill. Everyone's trying to fight box to box. Just look for a little bit of extra space. And one of those players is going to be NPen, who is just narrowly in the zone, and don't wind up running into some action as players continue to rotate into him. But man, like, NPen, where are you landing where you're getting this loadout? Like, come on, man.
Fantastic loadout for NPen indeed. Of course, such a high damage output with both of those weapons. Of course, that legendary pump shotgun can do over 200 damage to the head, so a well-placed shot with that can definitely end the life of another player and really pick up an important refresh for him. We saw NPen, I think he lands towards the stealthy stronghold area, actually, so a really, really solid loadout from that sort of area. Now, though, Edge, we've seen him a lot today. We've seen hasn't quite been able to translate that into too many points going into game number 6. It already does seem as though he is boxing up out of full metal. He's really situated in this area, and I like what he's doing here, because he is just getting above another layer. He's giving himself a little bit better line of sight on the players that are around him. He is only 42 above, so I think he's identified that he might want to look for a little bit more tags, a little bit more Storm Surge if he can, because 7 players do need to be eliminated, and another player that is looking good on the Storm Surge is Pars. But he's not looking too good on the HP.
This game started off quite aggressive, but we've definitely slowed down here as we got into this mid-game. Pars is trying to stay alive, holding those builds to it just enough. And it looks like Harsh is getting into a fight, and that's Ozzy for taking him down. So Pars able to walk away from this one, get his full health, or full shield back up. The health isn't coming just yet. Costin picks up an elimination in the feed, and That's going to be another one in Costin's favor. NPen throws a punch. Costin throws a punch. Back and forth they go. And now tuning back in with Bizek. Still at 120 points. We haven't gotten placement. We'll get one at 50th. But he's got to make it there first.
He really does, and Bizek's such a fantastic competitor. In the trios last event, when him and his team did end up winning, Bizek actually won the last game with his trio, but more importantly, he won it with a solo clutch. He loves these last game clutch moments where he can clutch up, and now he's on his own. He doesn't have to clutch it up for a trio. He's clutching it up for himself, and he can definitely do it. He's been in this sort of situation before, all the way up on top, and he will, hopefully for him, clutch it up in style. It looks as though he's going to be able to benefit from that refresh that was taken down right there. As Cam Rero, I believe, who did go down. He's going to be able to pick up that refresh, which is going to be absolutely vital in his hunt to keep that first place spot, as Botboy Kinney is also on the hunt for that first place spot to try and dethrone the mighty Bizek all the way up on top. I don't think he knows, though, that Bizek is in the box next to him. We're seeing first and second boxed up next to each other, and I don't think they know it. This is crazy.
Yeah, there's no way they know who's in that box. You assume it's a good player, but you don't truly know. Taking that player out could mean the difference of you finishing in first or second. They might accidentally collide here if Zone forces the action. Isaac's still being aggressive, though. He's not complacent with where he's at. He's getting some shots on, holding this player in zone. He doesn't know that player's 1 HP. That should be an Elam there. Does pick that up, and this is a lot of loot that falls to him. He's only able to get the wood builds. That's unfortunate. But he's getting aggressive. He's taking it all. He doesn't just want the wood, and ooh, look at that. That legendary pump shotgun's exactly what you want, and you can't ask for anything better than what Bizek's currently got.
You really can't. That is a fantastic shotgun to pick up right there. A great upgrade on that blue pump. And he does now have the materials as well to make his way through this endgame. He is a good amount above the Storm Surge as well, so he really can just ride these placements right now and make sure to use all of his materials. He will, of course, need some refreshes further on down the line, and so does Costin right here, who is looking for a little bit of a mountain attack on the top side of the leaderboard. Bizek, though, looks as though he did go down a lot of HP there. We're seeing him popping some minis in the left side of the zone, so really tough situation for him. If he doesn't get into that top 10, that top 5 placements, he might be struggling to stay in that top spot. Now Costin, though, picking up a nice refresh with that harpoon, being able to get that refresh from further back. It's such a great advantage of holding one of those harpoons, and another great advantage is the quick ability to break those wood builds with one shot, having to almost go for a little second go at that launch pad right there, as he doesn't quite be able to get onto it the first time. The lack of material. Is he down? NPen's down. No way.
Yeah, so Costin now, this third and fourth place is wide open. Now it's just a matter of how much he can climb up the leaderboards. I'm trying to find Okus in these builds, but I think it's really just going to be between Bizek and Kenny for this top spot.
I think it is, and it looks as though Bizek is in a much better situation than Kinney. As you can see on the bottom right of the screen, Kinney is down to almost like 30 HP right there. We're seeing our number one player, though. It's Bizek getting ahead of Zone. He's in 26th place right now. If he can get into that top spot, and Kinney, though, goes down. We saw that in the feed. That's a vital moment. I'm sure if Bizek could see that in the feed, he will be very, very happy. That is absolutely vital for him to clutch up this first place. But will he clutch it up in style? Will he do it with a first place in this game and a first place overall? We're about to find out. It's about to get exciting.
Costin picking up another elimination there. He's climbing his way up the leaderboard, doing all that he can. Josh Killa is right on the wall of Bizek. That could be Bizek's next point and elimination. He's looking for it. Chima here on the low. Someone's trying to get in. That door is shut. Josh goes down there to Mandinka, and Chima navigating through that low ground, but no! Ritix is jumping in his box. He's cleaned that one up. Bizek looking for a player on the backside of the storm. That player's getting held out. Bizek controlling the places in front of him. Looking for another elimination. I doubt he knows he's won it yet. He's trying to secure as many points as possible and doing an excellent job at that.
He is. He's into that top 10 now, that all-important top 10. He will be able to get some placement. Every single placement he gets. That will be another placement point, and there's another elimination for Bizek. Can he continue his domination? He's steamrolling through the lobby at this end game. He's got himself 2 eliminations so far. Is it going to be enough to hold out the top spot? It could well be. He finds the rest of that refresh, of course, as well. He's able to clutch up, get so many eliminations right here. If he can pop this big pot, this is going to be absolutely vital for him as 8 players still stand. Now 7 as Leppy goes down in the feed as well. Bizek's just going to have to ride this placement. It's looking like he could be our play versus solo champion right here because he is playing this to perfection.
He's already in a top 5 situation, now down to top 4. Let's call it top 3. Isaac is going to be looking to win this final match. It is a 1v1. You hinted at it. He has the opportunity. He places his last build. Now he's stuck in some old metal builds, trying to find his way through. He has no materials. He can't play the heal game here. Now looking for the shot here. Doesn't find it. Both players whiff, but no. Actually, Jelly hits pretty big. Isaac trying to get the shot. Jelly cleans him up, and that's the final victory royale.
He couldn't quite do it in the perfect fashion, but to be fair for Bizek, he has performed incredibly well throughout the whole day today. Absolutely textbook stuff from game number 1 all the way to game number 6. He couldn't quite have the perfect finish, but I'm sure he'll take a second place with a few eliminations to go along with it.
Oh, I believe that's his second place as well. So basically all day he's been playing those final zones. You can't ask to be playing better than he was right now, and what a show. He put it on for us. Really let us casters and the fans just watch what is some good, pure solo Fortnite play. And man, that was so close to just wrapping it up with the victory royale too.
It really was. Bizek proving to us to why he is one of the finest solo players and one of the finest players, full stop, in the scene at the moment. You know, picking up such vital eliminations as we're seeing on the screen right now. Vital refreshes that allowed him to clutch up and make his way into that end game and really do so well at that as well. He's really effective when it comes to those later zones, and he really proves it yet again today. And once again, of course, he is likely to be on top at the end. We're going to see the leaderboard, though. I'm very excited to see who is in that top spot and who is going to be close to him as well in 2nd and 3rd and 4th.
And not to be overshadowed, I know we're talking a lot about Bizek because he's won the event. I mean, we know what's going on, but Jelly was able to win that last match, put himself over 90 points, and that's a huge swing. You talked about early at the top of the show, that top 10 is really where the chunk of change is. That's the money that you want to win, and hey, Jelly clutching up in that final match could be the difference between, I know, a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand.
Yeah, potentially for Jelly. He did very well right there. As you said, we can't let that overshadow, of course, the incredible performance from Jelly today. He did very well. He was all the way up on high ground. He closed that fight out very effectively. I've seen Bizek use that skin so many times, and I think Jelly would have been aware that, okay, this is Bizek on the low ground, but he didn't let it get to him. He made sure to close out the victory royale in style and finished out game number 6 in as much of a good fashion as he could. You can't get a better finish than getting a victory royale, so I'm sure he'll be very happy with that, and I'm excited to see where he comes out on top in the leaderboard.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out. But while we have a second, if you're watching, if you're enjoying the Fortnite action, make sure to go check out PlayVS on their website, playvs.com. If you're trying to sign up, say you're in college, you're in high school, your child is in college or high school, they like Fortnite, that would be the opportunity to tell them to go check it out, see if you can compete if you're eligible, because man, they put on such a great tournament season after season.
They really do, and it's always exciting. It's always great to see who is coming out on top in each and every time. And now we're going to be seeing who is going to be coming out on top, and surprise, it's Bizek.
Yeah, Bizek did it. We all knew that going in, but 2nd, 3rd, look at that. That's what I'm talking about. Jelly in 3rd place. That last match was a huge game changer, and we see basically from 3rd all the way down to 10th, massive changes in the leaderboard in that last match, and you have to secure that final match and make sure that you're doing the most that you can. But congrats to Bizek, congrats to Jelly, congrats to Kinney. They all played so well.
Yeah, they really gave it that all today. And I mean, solos is a fantastic mode to watch. It's a fantastic mode to play in as well. And I'm sure these players will be very, very proud with walking home with some cash today. Even the players that are a little bit lower down, we saw how the prize pool worked earlier on. Even players all the way down to the top 75 will be walking home with some cash today. So really, really well done from anyone that has competed in today's tournament. And if you did manage to make yourself just outside of that top 75, I'm sure you haven't got too much to worry about. I'm sure there'll be opportunities in the future, and it's a really, really great opportunity to take this as a learning experience. You know, if you haven't played the best today, you haven't had quite the day you were expecting or hoping, there's so many great learning objectives and learning things that you can take from today in this finals format that it's invaluable experience for all of these players.
Oh, no doubt. And if this is your first time playing in one of these, congratulations. Like, by no means is it a small feat to reach the finals of these events. So it is a feat in itself to be able to get here and then to compete against a lot of these top players. It was a phenomenal day here, Miner, and I'm so glad that I got to join you. That was so much fun.
Yeah, likewise. I had so much fun today with you, Gun. It was an unbelievable experience. We got to see some fantastic gameplay, some great elimination victories, some high ground, some low ground, some early game fights, and of course, closing out the late game right there at the end with a victory for Jelly. We've seen some incredible action today, and it's been an absolute pleasure casting alongside you today.
Oh, thank you. And hey, shout out PlayVS. Go follow them on all social media. They are all over the place. If you're trying to sign up and compete, PlayVS.com. Go check it out. Find where you are best. And, you know, you can go follow this guy as well. He's pretty good. He's an awesome caster. And I appreciate you guys. What an awesome show. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Enjoy your week. And we'll see you soon.